Heck with it. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Hi everybody, how we doing today? I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you are doing very well. I'm sorry, chat is bothering me. I need it to be better aligned with the freaking box, but it never will be. Will never be enough. But hi, how we doing? Hey, I hope that you're having a great day today. It's been a little bit since we last saw each other like this. It's not that I haven't been streaming or doing things, but I've been over on Twitch doing like art streams and playing horse girl games and things. But the semester's here, and you would know what that means. It means it's time for class again. So, hey Astral, hope you're doing well. Hey Arctelos? Hey, welcome. Happy to have you here. Happy to have you here. Ah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I'm thinking I might try and do at least one stream a week. I'm thinking trading off between a stream on Twitch and then a stream on YouTube every Monday. So that means like every other Monday I'll be streaming on YouTube. I'm thinking. This is still planning, but doing academic stuff, and then on the other off Mondays I will be doing art or whatever games, whatever catches my fancy over on Twitch. That's kind of the thought that I've had right now. I want to have a nice schedule now that the semester is here and I am considerably more compelled to get organized than I have been. But we're back. So I did a poll earlier on Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter forever. Sounds good? Yay! I haven't completely locked that in yet, but I think that's gonna be the plan going forward. And then I think I'm trying to get myself onto a schedule so I can get myself a little more organized. So like, I think a stream every Monday is what I'm thinking about, and then trying to get some sort of like recorded and edited and scripted video maybe every 2 months or so. That's kind of the schedule that I'm considering. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I might try it out for a little bit. Which would mean if I do end up going with that, this would be the first Monday stream with that pattern. But I did have a poll on Twitter, and I was asking which paper we should read today. Oh, hey, Xenotime, I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you. We've got a very interesting paper lined up for us today. This is an open access paper, by the way. If you're curious, it's open access. There's a Creative Commons license that allows me to do all this, so I have reasons. But this is a fun title. I know this is some people's pet peeves, but I love when authors do like a fun little like thing in front of a colon and then a serious title after it. It sparks so much joy. So you can tell, blasting off again, this is going to involve Pokemon. I was kind of reluctant to use the word Pokemon in any of the stream promotional material just in case, because it doesn't seem like it's flattering to the streaming community. Just peeking in because I'm editing the first video I'll be posting in like 3 months. Hey, nice! Thank you for dropping in. No pressure to stay. No expectation that you say, but thank you for dropping in and saying hi. It is much appreciated. So as I was like getting the stream set up and like checking this out, I noticed something interesting here. Look. We have our authors. Our first author is Matthew Nali, BA. So this person only has their bachelor's. I can't just leave when this title appears on my stream. I know, right? An observational study on substance use content exposure in Pokemon Twitch streams. It's specifically Pokemon TCG streams. And then our second author is Larsen, who has 2 bachelor's degrees, a BA and a BS, probably like a double major or something like that. And then we have presumably the faculty advisor, Dr. Mackey, who has a MAS, is that like a Master of Sciences, and then a PhD as well. Based on these degrees, I kind of get the feeling that Nali and Larsen probably came up with this idea when they were undergrads and started working on it with Dr. Mackey when they were undergrads. And I'm willing to bet they just like, at least one of these two like tends to watch these streams and noticed a pattern and was like, hey, it's kind of weird that this keeps happening in this specific type of stream. And then they probably, I'm betting they went, like, I'm making up a story in my head, but like just based on the degrees listed here and the order of the authorship, I'm gonna guess that these two noticed an interesting pattern in something that they were just doing for fun and said, hey, Dr. Mackey, we think that this is interesting. Would you help us do a paper on this? And Dr. Mackey was like, sure thing. And then these two really led the charge, and Dr. Mackey was just like making sure they get organized and sort of walking them through the process. But I don't know, I just think that's neat. I love that. I think that's a really cool thing. I'm really glad. And then presumably between when they actually got it ready to publish and when they first started the project, these two graduated. I'm not just watching Pokemon streams, I'm planning my research project, silly, right? Well, I don't know. I don't know if they went in planning their research project, but it seems like, and this is pretty cool because I feel like undergrad-led studies rarely make it all the way to publication. Because I mean, there's like, that's just like a thing that generally happens, right? Like it's really hard to, the publication process is really, really long. It takes really long to do enough studies for a manuscript, to write that manuscript, to polish the manuscript, and then to submit it to a journal, and then get peer review, and then make changes based on the peer review, and submit it again. And this process, I'd say, is a year minimum, and that's a long time in undergrad. And like also after you graduate, because this was clearly published after these two graduated, like it can be really easy to lose sight of any projects that you were working on at the school that you were currently, or that you had just left. Like this happens not just bachelor's level, but master's level, PhD level. Once you graduate and move to a different university, it can be really hard to hold on to those projects. So I think it's really incredible, actually, that they managed to pull this off. I do think it's interesting that, what are the affiliations now? I'm kind of curious. San Diego, University, UC San Diego. Oh, so they're all at UC San Diego. It's just, or wait, no. The first two affiliations are UC San Diego. So that's presumably where these three met. And especially as an undergrad, it's very easy to do like 90% of paper, then just want to do something else and forget about it for years. Guess I'm not publishing them then. I completely understand that, Xenotime. I have so many completely finished manuscripts that would be perfectly, like I could submit them for publication right now. And they have been ready for years, but I just haven't taken the final step. And part of that is just because I hate the whole publication process. I hate it so much. It's, but like, I get it. I completely get it. Oh, and that's cool. I wonder if they went on to work with this guy, if S3 Research is like the affiliation they all share after these two graduated. I wonder what S3 Research is. I'm gonna search that up on another window. I'm really curious. S3 Research and Data Science. A big data machine learning and data visualization company. So it's a company. I see. Interesting. Interesting. Anyway. And it seems they're all affiliated with that. So I wonder if they met through the university while these two were doing their bachelor's, and then they ended up getting hired at a company where this guy was already working. Probably because networking is important, and if you can network with the right people, it will get you very far. If they work with the Supercomputer Center, did they watch Twitch on the Uni Supercomputer? I hope not. I feel like that's a bit of a waste of computing resources, but what do I know? All right, highlights. So here's the Cliff Notes. Over 25% of top Pokemon TCG Twitch streamers, I love this, how specific this category is, promote substance use, mainly alcohol. I wonder what they mean by promote. Is it just that they are using substances live on stream, or that they are actively encouraging their viewers and stuff to use substances like alcohol? 73% of Pokemon TCG lack age restrictions, exposing youth to intoxication content, which actually, that feels low to me. I'm actually, what this implies is that, what is it, 27% of Pokemon TCG streams are age restricted? That feels pretty high for Pokemon TCG streams. What's the point of a supercomputer if you can't even watch a stream on it? Great question. I don't know. I have no idea. And then consistent violations of Twitch policy and weak enforcement in youth-centric TCG. I see. So I was wondering why they picked the Pokemon one in particular, and my best guess was because Pokemon is sort of like Pokemon is very popular among all ages. Like, I actually recently joined my local Pokemon Go group, and we had like kids who were probably like 6 years old, and then we had people who were probably in their 70s and 80s who started it, and like every age in between. Like, Pokemon is just Pokemon. Yeah, so I wouldn't say Pokemon is specifically. I mean, I guess it is like it's stereotyped as being a kid's thing because it was a thing when it first came out. You know, it was very much a kid's thing when it first came out. But as its audience has grown older, it is no longer a kid's thing. It has become like there's still certainly like people in their 70s and 80s aren't playing Pokemon nearly as much as say people from their preteen through like 30s. But you know, I mean, it's mostly gambling and very expensive gambling at that. Oh, is it a gacha game? I think Pokemon attracts the collector crowd who's just interested in getting valuable pulls from packs over other TCGs which have more actual gameplay content. I don't know. What about like Magic the Gathering or something? Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not saying that I doubt you. Or I think I'm considering... Like, I don't think it's the only TCG that has that problem of collectors getting cards for the sake of getting cards. I collect Pokemon cards for the sake of getting Pokemon cards, but I don't actually care about the rarity. I found this really cool shop in Akihabara over the summer that sold a whole bunch of Pokemon cards. And of course they were selling singular cards that were really rare for like ridiculous prices. But you could tell that they were also catering to people who would buy a whole bunch of packs of cards to try and get the rare ones, and then they just try and get rid of the rest. So they had like these giant like 2-inch thick stacks of cards all wrapped up that you could get for 100 yen each, which is like in USD that's like 70 cents. So I got a huge stack of Pokemon cards for like 70 cents because people didn't want them. They only wanted to try and get rare ones from the packs. I used to play Pokemon Go, and I got to the point of being so addicted to it, I was wandering around the middle of nowhere after school in intense pain because I'd had to pee for, oh my gosh, CO time. Admittedly, the one time I got heat exhaustion and like nearly collapsed and fainted in the middle of the city and like threw up on the concrete because of my heat exhaustion was because I was playing Pokemon Go and went a little too hard. Hi, Tyler. Great timing. I'm so sorry you had to join during that one. Your health is greatly... Actually, for me, Xenotime, I think my health... It has improved my health because I've been getting out and walking a lot more since I started playing it. I say since I started playing it. I started playing it the day it came out. But that's been really helping me get out and walk. It's just, you know, you don't want to overdo it. There's a lot more Pokemon pack openings than Yu-Gi-Oh! Pack openings. I see. I wonder if that's just, like, proportional to their popularity or what. I feel like all of them have that problem to some extent. That's probably true. Yeah, you'll see whole streams of like pack opening. Like I remember, I don't watch too many streamers, but I have definitely caught like Hollow Stars English, Regis Altair doing like Pokemon card pack openings, or like the Hololive EN girls opening packs of Hololive cards. I caved and bought some packs of cards based on some Minecraft YouTubers I want, and I got a signed one. It wasn't the signed one I was going for, but it was one of the most valuable signed ones, and I've just kept it in the pack because I'm not really sure what to do with it, because I'm like, oh, this is kind of a big deal. I have something signed by some guy with like 8 million subscribers, and I'm like, I think they've leaned into it after the Charizard craze a while back, especially with the model the rare cards are mechanical clones of common. That's so silly. I played it before it came to my region. Wow, nice. That's fair. I walk around a lot in general, so it didn't help me that much on that front. That's fair. Oh, yeah. Yes, the Hermit Draft TCG. I got a signed Mumbo Jumbo card. All I wanted was a signed Joe Hills card, but I got a signed Mumbo card instead. I beg your pardon on the highlight. I know, right, Bobo? Welcome, Bobo, by the way. Happy to have you here. But yeah, like, I'm very interested in this paper. It's going to be a bit of a ride, and like, I was just saying that, like, over 25% promoting substance use. I'm curious to see what they mean by promote here, if that's just using substances on stream or actively promoting them. But I thought that 73% lacking age restrictions actually seemed kind of low for Pokemon TCG. It is cool. I think it's neat that I have the card, but I don't know what to do with it. I was like aiming really low. Apparently Pokemon goes hard now. Apparently. I think it's everybody who was playing, like, well, now a lot of the original Pokemon fans are pretty grown up. Though not so. I think they've like, you know, there's like the parabola of growing up. The like you're very like immature, and then you're not doing any substances because you're too young to access that stuff easily, and maybe it's not on your radar. And then as they become more accessible, you're doing more and more substances, like irresponsibly, and then like as you get older they lose the appeal, and then you're not using them quite as recklessly anymore for the most part. I think that's like the general lifetime course of that, and I think a lot of Pokemon fans who started with like the original big boom of Pokemon back in the 90s are probably on that downward trend in terms of use. So this kind of surprised me, but I guess Pokemon stayed pretty consistently popular for the past 30 years or so, which is ridiculous. How old is Pokemon now? It came out when I was in elementary school, I think. When did the Pokemon franchise start? The Pokemon Company was founded in 1998. When did the first Pokemon... 29, I think. Yeah. Not years, 1996 to present. So it started in 96. Yeah. Okay, that tracks. That makes sense to me. So yeah, like it's been almost 30 years now, and it stayed pretty consistently popular. I think it'll never quite hit the same popularity it was when it first came out. Oh, hey, Hair Day, by the way. But it stayed pretty consistently popular for the past like 30 years. It's ridiculous. Yeah, the whole my knees, my back, I gotta get up tomorrow stage of life. Exactly. Oh. Luckily, I get to sleep in tomorrow because I only teach afternoon classes on that day. I'm winning, but I really feel the knees, the back thing. Oh my gosh, my shoulder in particular. Growing old sucks, everybody, but you can mostly you can do a lot by eating well and doing good exercise, and I'm not doing either of those things. I need to ask Bobo for some tips. How can I get buff? I want to become muscular. Okay, anyway, let's start. Here's our... Oh, so it's got one of these abstracts that split up into the sections. Every day in my seminar class, it started at 11 a.m., so it's going to be so nice. I love that. Better than the alternative, and I can give some advice. I might take you up on that. I need to work out more as well, right? Big mood. I think Pokemon Go Bump kind of revived it quite a lot. I agree. And then with Sun Moon being pretty good, kept a lot of people who came back. Man, was Sun Moon? I think the only Pokemon game that I've ever bought that I never finished was Sun Moon 2. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 10k run every day. Hair Day, I'm not gonna be Saitama. I don't want to go bald. I don't want to go bald. Why are you, Hair Day, of all people, recommending me the workout routine that made Saitama from One Punch Man go bald? Hair Day. I don't think I could run that much for many reasons. One of the reasons being that I have exercise-induced asthma, but I could probably try and start doing some push-ups and sit-ups and stuff. Anyway, okay. So we've got, Sun Moon was one of the one all the kids at summer camps played on 3DS, but I didn't have one. Oh, that's too bad. No electronics were allowed at the summer camp that I went to, so I couldn't play, which was a shame. Okay. The Pokemon franchise has an array of media, as we've been discussing just now. We've got television series, movies, merchandise, and they don't use the Oxford comma. I hate them already. That's a joke, by the way. It's a joke, by the way. That attracts globally. Oh, I was looking up when the Pokemon series started, and it's literally here in the introduction section of their abstract. I just literally had to scroll down a little more. I ended up playing it emulated on projector in CS. I love that. Garbage paper tossing. they're not using APA style, but I don't think this is an APA journal, so like, you know, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. It's fine. We're gonna pretend it's fine, even though it's really not. But we're gonna pretend it's fine. However, the Pokemon TCG live streaming content may also include potential harmful content for youth and adolescents. I wonder if they have any information on the actual demographic breakdown of the people who are watching these streams. I don't remember seeing like something like that on Twitch Analytics. I know YouTube kind of does that. It's the usual problem of like analytics for demographics on social media. If you're a usual social media user and not like an advertiser, usually they'll give you demographics, but they can only give you demographics that were user provided, and very few users actually provide those demographics, you know, because sometimes it's an extra step or sometimes they just don't want to share it. So YouTube kind of guesses a lot of demographics. Yeah, it does try and guess, but I feel like it only, because like I think it might be harder to tell if you have a bigger channel, because you're just seeing a bunch of numbers, and like if you just look at them, you might not notice that they don't add up to your full thing. But a lot of the time, like my demographics, like for a video that has over like that has several hundred views, I might only, based on the percentages that I'm looking at and like the demographic breakdown, it probably only gives me demographic data from like 1 to 3 people out of those several hundred, you know? I hear YouTube is using AI to guess now. Yeah, because of the new laws that are being put into place all over the world of like, maybe, well, not all over the world, but in certain locations of the world, you know, there's more laws ostensibly to protect the youth that are requiring age verification. And there's 2 ways that you can verify the ages of your users. One of them, of course, is having your users basically dox themselves, send them your ID. And that is like the most reliable way to do that. But one, that means you have to set up a whole lot of new infrastructure and gather a lot of new data and find a secure way to store that information and process that information. And we've already seen sites that are not securely storing that information and a lot of people getting doxxed and stuff. On the other hand, you can try and estimate their ages using the data that you already have. And it's not a perfect system, but it means you don't necessarily need to build quite that much new infrastructure. You just need to process data in ways data that you already have in ways that you weren't before. And it's less intrusive, or at least it requires less effort on the user's side. And we know users hate putting in effort. So your choices are essentially try and estimate their age by AI, which is not accurate, or which is not always accurate and not perfect. Or you can ask them to upload their IDs, which creates a lot of privacy concerns, creates like you have to come up with a way, expend resources on creating a system and a process for that. Or you can just refuse, which means a lot of people are going to be locked out of your website. I think pretty sure the ratios, but I'm pretty sure I'm just guessing demographics from IP addresses and the like. I heard it was guessing demographics from like, at least for the age thing, from the stuff you watch is what everybody's speculating on. Scrolling through examples, some of them are almost comical. Like if I didn't know better, I'd assume they were made up. Heck, Spotify said I had to verify my age, but my Spotify account is older than the age they want me to be. Heck yeah, old people problems. Hey Torg, if you can't the demographics without AI, you can't get it with AI. AI is always happy to confidently guess, though. AI is very happy to confidently guess. AI will confidently guess as much as it possibly can, and it probably won't even tell you that it's guessing. Oh no, one of my eyes is a little... maybe that's my hair. I think that might be a hair problem. There, now they're even. I brushed my hair out of my face. Yeah, the whole like age verification thing though is kind of like, there's many reasons that it's a mess. A lot of them are logistical, a lot of them are privacy concerns, a lot of them are concerns about like censorship, a lot of them are concerns about a bunch of things. But the whole thing is like, it's going very quickly, and it's going a lot quicker than people can keep up with. And it's almost like that tech mindset of like move fast and break things, but applied to policy. It's just not a good idea. I have thoughts and feelings about the age verification. As somebody who grew up in the age, both like, I grew up when the net was starting to be open to like average people and becoming a lot more accessible for average people, including children. And when I first started on the net, there was no such thing as age verification because children were only, like, up until that point, children simply had not had access to the internet because most families did not have access to the internet, much less in their homes. After that, it was like you tick a box to confirm that you are above like 13 years old or whatever. And the particularly zealous sites would have you enter your year of birth. Back in my day, websites just asked if you were over 13 and you clicked yes, regardless of your age. Torg, I think you and I remember a similar age of the internet. I don't know what our actual age relevance is, but yeah. As I got into it, children had their own areas. Those don't exist. That's also true. Like, there was very much, you had your own areas as a kid, and there was not much motivation to leave those areas, like Neopets. I spent a lot of my early time online on Neopets. And now spaces like those are not. They're also a lot more, the ones that do still exist, from my understanding, are a lot more like pay-gated than they used to be. Like Neopets, you could play that completely for free without a problem. And like you could do basically almost anything on Neopets for free back in the day. But now like a lot of places are like, there are features that are locked behind paywalls. There's a lot of like, there's tie-in, there's a whole bunch of things. The fact that the youth does not have Club Penguin is a damning thing to me. I was too old by the time Club Penguin became a thing, but I do wish that there were more websites like that. Now we have the Roblox situation. Oh my god, the whole Roblox situation. I don't even want to. There were a lot of specific forums and kids could just stick to the kid-oriented ones, but now everyone's tossing the same few giant social networking sites. Yeah, Arc. Yeah, it is a big problem. Like the way that the internet has become so centralized is difficult. They harped on us not to talk to anyone, not to trust what we see online, and not give any of our info to anyone. Now I see people post things you couldn't waterboard. I know, Bobo. It's absolutely crazy. It's like, I do tend to overshare a bit, but like, you could not get me to say which state I live in, much less which city I live in, or even whether I do live in a city whatsoever, much less like some of the things that like people will say, hey, I'm actively at this specific store sitting in this specific corner, here is a picture of my current location. Or like, it's crazy, Bobo, it's crazy, it's insane. Like, when I was young going on the internet, like, we were told, like, if you let the slightest bit of identifying information about you out, except maybe, like, your gender, which is, you know, barely identifying as it is, if you let anything more specific than your gender get out, somebody will find you and they will kill you. That was how I was taught. That was how my generation generally was taught. If you let any information about your real life slip, somebody will show up at your door and kill you. Yeah, and kids do not have any money to get around paywalls like that anyways. I know, right? So, you know, and that's part of the whole problem with the Roblox situation right now. I admit I'm not like super familiar with the Roblox situation, and I would rather not talk about it too much for various reasons, including my lack of familiarity, but that seems to be the thing. Strangely, I have near zero digital footprint other than my online persona, but I feel like I overshare a bit as Atropos. That's decent. I wish I had less of a digital footprint. It's become increasingly difficult to have a clear, separate line between your online life and your real life. It's especially because work networking has become a thing that you do on like LinkedIn and on social media. You are expected to have a professional presence online, which makes the lines blur a lot more. Like part of the thing that we did in grad school is like, here's one of the first things you should do is I created a social media account solely for me as an academic and researcher, because that was part of what you were supposed to do. Like, because that's just kind of expected now. Social media presence will get you jobs and things like that, but the more social media presence you have as your real self, the harder it is to keep it separate from your digital self. And it's just, everything's so online these days. It's really hard. The blurring between online and the real world, I'm not gonna say it's always bad. Like, I've had some situations over time where having where the blur between the online and the offline worlds has actually been beneficial. But like, and like, you know, I've met Z in person, I've met Phi in person, I've met Toxo in person. Like, it's not like I keep these things totally separate. But it's become very difficult to do that and manage that. I used to be the same way, but at this point, your name's pretty much required on everything. That's true, Tyler, unfortunately. There's a lot of places where I have to enter my name, or like on Twitch, where you have to enter things like your phone number or something for certain types of verification and stuff. I hate that. I don't want them to have my phone number, much less, like, I don't want them to have my name. I don't want them to have my phone number. I don't want them to have my address. I don't want them to have my payment information unless they absolutely need it. If they have my payment information, I want them to delete it the second they're done with it, all this stuff. GeoGuesser's a psyop. Oh gosh. They're secretly trading armies of people to identify places from photos. If you get high enough score on GeoGuessr, the CIA are... The thing that's also weird is that my brother's career, teacher, they were hardcore in a program to scrub social media as teachers of high schoolers. That does not surprise me at all. I mean, that seems like a very important thing to do. I can't say that I've had any of my students, I've had one student find this YouTube channel, but that's because the things that I do on this particular YouTube channel are pretty directly connected to a lot of the things that I do. Like, if somebody is looking for additional study resources for one of my classes, it's entirely possible that this channel will pop up, and that was just a risk that I ended up taking for the sake of sharing educational stuff with the world. But like, for the rest of it, the only social media account I have that has my real name on it, or the only accounts are my academic Twitter, my academic Blue Sky, and my Facebook account. Everything else has no connection whatsoever to anything else. And I'm very, very careful to ensure that there's no connection between anything that has my real name on it and anything where I post any type of opinion or creative thing that I do, as much as possible, because high schoolers will find out. College students will look you up and they will find out, you know? Like, there's a difference between individual, fairly trusted interactions and people just broadcasting stuff. Super true, Xenotime, super true. Phone numbers are a nightmare. I need, like, a burner phone number or something. High schoolers will find out anything. Maybe high school's also part of the scrubbing was students not finding other was legal risk. Basically, you opened yourself up to lawsuits and attacks from parents. That also doesn't surprise me. That also doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Like, the legal side of it is scary. I'm somewhat insulated from, like, at least parents finding out too much about me, because there is legal protections in the US for students to keep their educational information like, there's FERPA, essentially. Students have a right to privacy, even from their parents once they reach college. And it's not, like, perfect, and it doesn't, like, and, like, students that are still, like, underage and things like that, it's not as strong, or, like, and students can sign a waiver for that, but there's an additional level of shielding there, which also means they had classes on selfies and red Solo cups. That doesn't surprise. I've heard many stories of, like, I have some friends who teach in, like, high school or middle school, and they do have to be very careful about what they post on social media. They cannot post themselves holding alcohol or being around alcohol. They cannot post themselves doing certain, like, they can't post themselves clubbing or something like that, because I feel like a lot of like students and their parents have a sense of ownership over teachers even when they're off the clock. And it's not great. Teachers are not allowed a lot of the time to be human beings. It's like, you're a role model and therefore you must always be acting perfectly and you can never do anything that anyone could conceivably disapprove of. And it's just, that's one of the many reasons I don't teach below college. A lot of stuff in the EU actually requires an EU phone number, which I had but couldn't receive phone calls with it. It was a mess. Ugh. Wait. And some things that you're supposed to be just for Norwegians, you need a Norwegian phone number. This is true, it really sucks. Yeah. It's really frustrating to me that in an increasingly global world, there are certain resources that you cannot access if you are not in the right physical location. even if you may desperately need those resources, you know? Politicians may be teachers, no. In college, my RA was in the background of a selfie my suite mate took. The RA demanded that it not be tagged. Yeah, yeah. It's scary out there. Reputation is big because you need to keep as clean an image as possible, because some people out there will go a little wacky about it. It's not as bad if you're a college instructor, but you still have to be careful. I think tenure helps with that, but I'm not in a tenure track job. I will never have tenure, so. Denmark won't even let you get a transit card without proof of data. Then next year, how do you, if you're traveling then to Denmark, how are you supposed to get around if you can't get a transit card and if you're not a citizen? Or if like you're an immigrant or somebody there on a work visa, how the hell are you supposed to use public transport if you can't get a transit card unless you're a citizen? There's other ways to pay. Yeah, I mean, it's good there's other ways to pay, but that does suck. Like, I'm very curious about the reasoning behind that, but I should probably get back to the paper. I should probably get back to the paper, because I'm also very interested in this paper. And I also want to get, I don't want to get, like, too political, like, too, like, polarizing, I guess you could say. It's specifically the national transit card that works everywhere in the country. You can't get. You know what, Tyler, you're right. I do have to be off topic. That is part of my job as a streamer. It's the unfortunate truth that part of my job is being off topic. But I am genuinely curious about what's going on in this paper, so I do want to read more of it. All right. May also include potential harmful content for youth and adolescents, like depictions of substance use. Hence, the objective of the study is to assess if popular Twitch, Pokemon, TCG content and influencers promote substance use topics and behavior. I'm still really interested by what they mean by promote. Is like promote just using it, or is it, if you're always off topic, then what really is the topic? The topic is all is the topic. No, wait, if I'm always, that means I'm always on topic. If I'm always off topic, then I am the topic void. Semantic models cannot classify me. 1.7 words per minute. It's okay, I still have the record stream. Fi has not beaten me yet, so there's no pressure to go too quick, you know? I still have the record stream in V-Theorem, so I'm not worried. This study was conducted in 3 phases: data mining on 2 Twitch data aggregation websites. I've never heard of Sullynome.com. So they data mined. I wonder what kind of data they're mining. I mean, I imagine I'll find out. Data filtering using keywords through a snowball sampling strategy on the title of a Twitch stream. So snowball sampling, how many of you are familiar with, or aren't familiar rather, maybe, with snowball sampling? I'm probably going to explain what snowball sampling is anyway. But this is interesting. I don't know if they actually needed to use snowball sampling here, considering that, you know, Twitch has categories. Okay, snowball sampling, you know, 10 snowball. Okay, so snowball sampling is a method that researchers will use if they want to get access to a very particular population that might be difficult to get access to. So for example, like I've done, back in the day, I did some research on a very specific population, and you can't just like go to the undergrad subject pool and be like, here, I want 100 people and I should get like at least 50 people in this population. No, I was looking at some characteristic that I think less than 1% of the population had. So if you want to get like a very specific population, maybe that's like a specific cultural background or a specific experience or a specific hobby or something like that, or in this case, a specific type of stream, you go and find like a handful of people or things that fit that criteria. Let's say people, just for simplicity. I find, say, 2 or 3 Pokemon TCG streamers. And then there's various ways I can do this. If I'm working directly with people, I can ask them to tell me the names of like as many other TCG streamers that they know. And then I go to those streamers, and then I ask each of those 10 streamers to give me another 10 streamers. And that it's a snowball sampling, because it's called snowball sampling because your sample gets bigger as it goes on. You essentially ask people to refer you to other people that meet your study criteria, and then go to those new people and ask them to refer you further. It's I guess in like computer or like neuroscience terms, it's kind of like a cascade. Like you start with a small group and have them refer you out. MLM, the sampling, yes. Multi-level marketing, the sampling procedure. Sounds really vulnerable to social bubbles. Hair Day, you are so correct. It is very vulnerable to social bubbles, unfortunately. And that's one of the reasons why you would only do snowball sampling if you would have a very difficult time accessing the sample otherwise. You can somewhat get around the social bubble problem a little bit if you intentionally identify individuals that you think belong to different social bubbles within the category. Like, I find people that, like, let's say I'm doing a study on cosplayers, I might identify one cosplayer who's a competitive cosplayer, another cosplayer who professionally does cosplay to promote things, like video games or whatever, and a hobbyist cosplayer. And now I've got probably 3 different networks to start rolling the snowball down. You know? Like, it's certainly not perfect. And it's probable that if you start too narrow, you will end up in just a specific subset of that community. That's definitely a big risk with snowball sampling. So it's not the ideal thing, but you know, you gotta do some, if you want to gather data on a very specific group, you gotta start somewhere. That feels like it adds a bias, as people who watch a streamer use substances on stream are more likely to mention streamers who also do that than when compared to someone who wouldn't be uncomfortable. Astral, I think that you're right, and I do think that is a problem here. And normally if it's just like the difficulty of accessing the population, and this is the only choice that you have, I would say that was you just have to accept that. But in this case, the problem is Twitch has categories you can stream in, right? Why did they use snowball sampling instead of just going to the Pokemon TCG category and seeing who was streaming and randomly selecting people from there? You know? Like, I feel like they didn't need to use snowball sampling here, because there's a method that's less susceptible to social bubbles, or like to specifically those kind of network effects that you're mentioning, that they could have used built into the website they're getting their sample from. Then again, that's also, you know, based on algorithmic recommendations, but still. The downside is social bubbles can disrupt your data, but the upside is finding ways around that problem is a really fun statistics problem, and a lot of people do cool stuff with that. That's true. Yeah, hopefully the paper will address this. Hopefully so. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure, what discipline is this in? Is this like a discipline where they'd be aware or thinking about this? This is AJPM. What is AJPM? Like, it looks like... Is it an anthropology journal? American Journal of Preventative Medicine? Is this the American Journal of... AJPM Focus. What? What? Is this the... Wait, am I reading this? It doesn't say. It doesn't say. AJPM Focus. About. What does AJPM stand for? What does it stand? It looks like most of this is health related things. So I think it is the Journal of... That is wild. That is wild. I wouldn't have predicted that. And then we have the Global Health Program, Department of Anthropology. So that makes sense that this person, that's specifically the PhD person who is probably helping guide this project along. So health anthropology, that makes sense. Global Health Policy and Data Institute. Interesting. I see. I'm just curious about what kind of research background this is coming from. Can you imagine getting hit with the open access fee for a medical journal, but your paper's about Pokemon Twitch? I mean, I think it's an important issue. Like, we do need to be cautious about, like, you know, people need to be aware of their audiences. It's very important, I think, that streamers are aware of the type of people that are in their audiences and the possible implications of that. Anyway, okay. So they did snowball sampling, and then they used content coding. I love content coding. Content coding is so much fun. It's where you, like, dig through a whole bunch of, like, data. In this case, they're probably watching through a whole bunch of VODs. and you note down things that matter in the data or things that you're interested in, or things like, in this case, they might be noting down every time, say, a bottle of beer is is visible on screen or something like that. I love content coding. I know a lot of other people hate content coding because it feels like busy work to them, and to them I say, let me do your coding for you. I love coding. Please let me do the coding for your research project. I volunteer as tribute. And no one has taken me up on this yet, but I say it every time, and I'm always sincere when I say, please let me help you with your coding. But no one seems to believe me because everybody else hates content coding, like the process of content coding, but I love it. Please, please give me things to put into categories. That is where I thrive. I'm not trying to downplay it. It's not ultimately a health issue. I just didn't expect it. Is kind of unexpected, but you never know what you're going to find sometimes. The American Journal of Medicine, maybe. Clearly. All right. Using the World Health Organization protocol on internet monitoring and marketing of unhealthy products to children and adolescents for influencer and micro-influencer substance use marketing, including depictions of substance use or promotion of the products on the streamer's profile. Oh, so they're not just looking at the streams, they're looking at what's listed on the profile as well. Interesting. The data point goes in the square hole. Bobo, I am like, yeah, I mean, I don't put everything in the square hole because I take pride in my job, but I very much do love sorting things. I do love sorting things. Sorting things brings me great amounts of joy, and putting things in spreadsheets and content coding is often a combination. It is often in the form of sorting things in spreadsheets. So it's just like the perfect storm positive of like things that I enjoy doing. I'm always surprised how medical or medical affiliated journals have lots more less serious seeming stuff than you'd think. Yeah, it's the seeming thing, I think, is the thing here, because it's the weird thing about research is people are always like, oh, here's a weird study, why would somebody study that? But oftentimes it can lead to like some really important findings, or, you know, it might not be important until you see it from a certain angle and they're like, shoot, it is important. I wonder what they count as an influencer and what counts as a micro-influencer. Let's hope that I hope they define it for us. It's probably defined by the WHO protocol. They probably define that. But I hope they define it in this paper as well. I'm scrolling through collation papers and then get hit with 50 Shades of Skin. What is happening over there? I hardly understood a word of that, but Xenotime, I give you my power. My bird brain doesn't know what half those words mean, but I send you my strength. Right. We conducted an assessment of any underage moderation for Twitch live stream. So is this like trying to enforce rules about like age gating content or something like that? Or like, are there many influencers that aren't compatible with either? Potentially. I don't know. What is the best shade of skin? What is happening? What is scandium? Okay, 1,025 highly active Pokemon. What counts as highly active? I'm very curious. I'm thinking that it's an age gating. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like, are they actually, like, if they do have their stream marked as, like, 18 plus or whatever, are they actually enforcing that? Yeah, are there kilo influencers? That's a great question. Gelatin? Gelatin is when you wrap up a toxic atom in a blanket of chunky molecules. Interesting. Interesting. We need a chemistry VTuber. We do. Manifesting chemistry VTuber. Anyway, okay. There's only like 3 shades. Oh. The use and promotion of substance use in the form of alcohol. Oh, Xenotime! I guess I always just thought of you as like physics and engineering. I need to check out your stuff a bit more. I'm sorry. You manifested, but backwards in time. I did. I'm so good at this one. Oh, it's the substance we make Xeroxes from. Tilly, please don't blow yourself up, Xenotime. Please don't. Like, the few streams of yours I've caught have had me a little worried for your safety. I don't really know what's going on in them, so I can't tell if you're actually in danger. But well, I just worry about everybody. I'm always worried about everyone. So I think my alarm threshold is set a little too low, but I'll have to check out your stream if I have time, or your video, or you said you're working on a video, right? My brain is all, I don't know what's happening anymore. Like, I believe in you, and I'll have to check it out. I know what I'm doing, but I do dubious things. You have to please. That's one of the nice things about psychology. A lot of the time, what you're doing is not putting you at immediate personal risk of injury or illness. Yeah, short video will be out in a few hours. Ah, I'm excited. I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely check it out. All right. The use and promotion of, so alcohol, cannabis, or tobacco was detected in 25% of these TCG Twitch streamers. That is high. That feels pretty high to me. Like 25% were, but it says use and promotion. I feel like use is not equal to promotion, and promotion is not equal to use. You can see YouTubers promoting things that they've never used, and you can see people using things that they would never promote, right? Like, I would never advertise for my internet service provider, but I use it every day. Right? I would expect that to be mostly alcohol, though, but I'm not sure. I think from the abstract or like the short summary up top, they did say the vast majority of it was alcohol. But I wonder if they're conflating use and promotion, or if they do actually like separate these out. Frequent substance use detected was alcohol. Oh yeah, there it is, there it is. 90% of that was alcohol. 90% was alcohol, followed by polysubstance use. So that's like using, maybe smoking and drinking at the same time. So only about 6.6% were using more than one substance at a time. Only 6 or about 2% were using cannabis, and only 2 or less than 1 was smoking tobacco. That actually kind of surprises me that the cannabis use is higher than the tobacco use, but looking at the sample size, 6 versus 2, that doesn't seem like it's enough information to be statistically significant. I'm wondering if there are those things they're counting as promotion or just like references, though. Right, Xenotime? I'm really excited to get to the methods to see exactly how they're defining promotion. Actually, I'm just surprised that tobacco was so low, especially was in our alcohol tract. Yeah, alcohol tracks, but yeah, I'm also very surprised that tobacco is so low, because I feel like this is a very recent paper, if I remember correctly. When was this paper? Yeah, August. This came out. This was posted online like August 21st, which was a week and a half ago. This only went up a week and a half ago. So this is pretty recent data, and I know that tobacco use has been steadily increasing again for the last couple of years. Or at least I'm pretty sure that's the case. So it does surprise me that that is the lowest one of all. Especially with cannabis use still being illegal in a lot of areas. How did an illegal drug beat a legal one? That's what I'm curious about here today. I mean, admittedly, legality differs in different places, right? Did they do this sorted by region, because norms and stuff around alcohol can be very different in different places? I know, right? I wonder. We'll have to see. Holy, like Hassan has like a wall of used Zyn cans. What is Zyn? I need to find out what this is now. Is that, am I even pronouncing that right? Z-Y-N. Nicotine pouches. I see. Wild. Wild. I wonder if they're counting that, because that might be a little harder to spot. It's tobacco that's in a couch. I see, I see. Yeah, let's see, let's see. I'm very curious to see what they do. Like, how exactly they're measuring this, how they're classifying it. Is tobacco simply just smoking tobacco? Would that, like, where does vaping fit into this? Do they lump vaping in with tobacco? Do they lump it, well, yeah, we're gonna have to read on. It's a shame how close tobacco use came to going extinct. We were so close. Every day I cry. I was walking around today to, get some fresh air and stuff. And then there was a whole half a block that I was walking where it, like, the scent of tobacco smoke was so strong that you could literally taste it for a full half of a block outside. And I didn't see anyone around, but somebody, at least one person, had been very, very heavily smoking in that area for a while. I just have such a visceral disgust reaction to smoking, and so I'm deeply upset that it's becoming more and more common again these days. Unfortunately, I encounter it a lot. Berlin is already amazing, but it would be so much nicer if there wasn't a bajillion smokers. Yeah, yeah. I've never been to Berlin, so I can't say, but yeah. I will say there are some smokers who are way more considerate than others. Like a considerate smoker, as long as like they are aware that the smoke smells bad, other people don't want to smell it, and they're aware of how to keep it away from other people. Like they're only hurting themselves, that's fine. But like there are other people who will just straight up blow smoke in your face as if you don't exist. It's not even malicious, it's just straight up they're not even registering you as another person that might be bothered, you know, like I see a lot of that lately. A lot of that. It's just weirdly way more smoking than most of Germany. Weird. Weird. I wonder why. I wonder if there's a reason for that. It could be a cultural thing. Anyway, okay. All right. Content coding detected 3 general themes with behavioral being the most observed. Oh, yeah, I understand people who are older and have heavy addictions, but if you're like 20 and have a tobacco addiction, how did this happen? There's been a lot of vaping these days. There's been a lot of vaping these days. It got cool, quote unquote, unfortunately. This included behavioral content of substance use for specific reason of casual use, so casual substance use, and for intoxication. So a lot more casual use, not almost but not quite twice as much casual use as trying to actively get intoxicated. I bet that tobacco has the strongest health and social concern campaigns, while cannabis is mostly that it's illegal and alcohol is more of a subculture deal. I mean, I'd say alcohol is very mainstream culture. Like, I don't drink. I've never had a sip of alcohol in my entire life. And I get treated as weird for that. I have been excluded on multiple occasions. I've been pressured. I've been, like, made fun of. I've been almost bullied because I don't drink. It's just an expected thing that adults of a certain age will start drinking, and then when they don't, it's becoming more socially acceptable these days to not drink. But it's very much a mainstreamy culture thing. And I think there also is part of that is the grad school culture, where that's also like part of grad school and academic culture is that a lot of things like networking and stuff like that is done over drinks. I had a really weird time in grad school because I was the only person in the like after I got my PhD, people in the department, we got some people who didn't drink in the department, but during the whole time I was doing my PhD, I was the only person in the entire department who didn't drink. And a lot of the social events were based around alcohol. You know, like there was alcohol at every major social event, or like if you go to a conference, all of the networking events either have like a bar or drink service or are held at a bar. Yeah, in some places alcohol-free drinks are becoming much more common, but not really in the US. They're getting more common these days though. They're getting more common, which is I'm very glad that they're getting more common. But yeah, there was this one bar that me and my friends used to go to. Like if one of us got our successfully like defended our masters or our PhD, we'd go and celebrate at this particular bar, and the bar also served milkshakes. So I'm like, y'all get your beers and your cocktails. I'm gonna get a milkshake. We're all gonna be drinking stuff that is calorie dense and bad for our health, but mine is gonna taste a lot better than yours. I did spend a night of my summer chasing around a bunch of drunk Canadians in a field full of actual wild bulls past midnight. No, what? Yeah, at drinking events at least, like usually I can like I've spent a lot of weddings and like networking events at conferences and like event like holiday parties and stuff like that, just going up to the place and being like, can you make me a Shirley Temple? And they get very, very confused, but they do it. I love me a good Shirley Temple, oh my god. Where were we? Right, we were reading the paper. You will just never have to taste your drink a second time. Oh no. Is this a comment about the bulls thing? Because if that angry bull gets you, you're never going to taste anything a second time, I imagine. When we were doing stuff for the lab I was in at Germany, they always had way more alcohol-free beer than regular beer 10 years ago, and there was not much of that. That's interesting. A lot of alcohol-free. I never saw the point of alcohol-free. I mean, like, I kind of see the point in that, like, the social pressure to drink, and it looks like you're drinking if you're having an alcohol-free beer, so you're less likely to get pressured. But my understanding is that beer is very much an acquired taste, and you tend to acquire the taste both due to social pressure and because of the effects of the alcohol. So my general thought is, like, why would you acquire a taste? Why would you bother to acquire a taste if there isn't some other benefit to it? Like, my general thought is the only reason people acquire a taste for coffee is because they need the energy, or people acquire a taste for beer because they want to get drunk. Like, that's my general thought on the matter. Oh, I was thinking about alcohol causes vomiting. Oh, maybe. There's a sign that was like, be careful, the bulls will kill you, don't make them mad in German. Lots of Europe has culture, like going out for beers with friends or colleagues and the like, so it just slots into that. I see. Okay, anyway. Oh, I think it's mostly about already having got the taste and wanting to get off the alcohol. Oh, that makes sense. So it's like, if you've already gotten off the taste, then you get the alcohol-free beer. Okay, that makes more sense. I was not thinking about that in the right direction, but that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Astro. Alright. The inks included, so, casual use for intoxication. Additionally, close to 3/4 of streamers' accounts did not prohibit underage access to account. Okay, so something about how they're presenting these numbers kind of bothers me. All of these numbers that they're mentioning. Okay, never mind. Looking at that sample size, no. Okay. At first, I couldn't tell when they were saying 3/4 of streamers' accounts. Like, the way that they phrase it makes it sound like they're talking about 3/4 of the 1,025. But looking at the sample size, I'm pretty sure it's 3/4 of the ones who actually were engaged in substance use. Okay. That's a part of it, but a surprising number of people just don't drink alcohol at all, but do go to the alcohol-free beer. Oh, interesting. It might be the social thing. Like, I think that's kind of my impression. You know that sparkling water called Liquid Death with, like, the really, like, intense names and the intense packaging? I was hearing that, my impression is that, Liquid Death has that kind of branding specifically to make it look like an alcoholic beverage, to make it so people are less likely to be pressured into drinking something alcoholic at party if they're holding a Liquid Death can because it looks alcoholic. Saw that stuff, thought it was beer. Yeah, I heard it. I think that's kind of the point. It's sparkling water that looks like beer, so you can drink it at a party and have people think you're drinking, so that they won't, like, try and force you to drink beer when you're not. 3.7 words per minute. Look at us go! I think we've almost doubled what we were at before. Alright. Additionally, close to 3/4. Oh, yeah, so this number makes a lot more sense. At first I was like, 3/4? That seems still pretty low, but if it's 3/4 of the people using substance uses, that seems a bit more reasonable. Yeah, everybody knows now. Yeah, but, like, if you're at a party, usually it's loud and dark and crowded, and just a quick glance, you might not register it, you know? I prefer to drink beer than sparkling water. I don't like sparkling water either, but I don't drink alcohol, and a lot of the time, if I'm going to an event where there's alcohol, the only non-alcoholic beverage that they provide is sparkling water, so I've just had to deal with it. Like, I don't like it, but it's often my only option, so there we are. At every party I've been at, I was totally safe from social pressure if I had a cup in my hand or was heading to the bathroom. Ooh, interesting. I mostly just hide in parties. I hide in the corner. I don't go to many parties, and when I do, I have my sketchbook with me, and I sit in the corner and I doodle. That's what I do. You need to go to better events. Maybe I do need to go to better events, but I don't like events. I don't do well with crowds, and I don't do well with loud noises. And most events involve crowds and loud noises, and therefore I don't like going to events, and therefore I rarely go to events. There are a lot of types of non-alcoholic juice-like drinks in Germany, like the US has juice, but they've got juice or... What the... Are those real words? Squirrel, saft, nectar. The only parties I go to are birthday parties. Hell yeah, Warpy! It's a mix of juice and sparkling water. Ooh, that actually sounds pretty good. It reminds me of Orangina. I haven't had Orangina in a long time. I want some. Okay. In this study... Okay. In the study, we detected Twitch streamers violating Twitch community guidelines and have exposed millions, may have exposed millions of youth. This feels kind of like, I mean, is it possible? Yes. But it feels kind of almost hyperbolic, because, like, we'll need to find out if they have the demographics of the audiences here, or the size of the audiences that we're talking about. Different depictions of substance use. See, now they're calling it depictions rather than promotion. I don't like that switch. Are we talking about just seeing substance use? Or are we talking about actively promoting substance use? Like, what are we focusing on? Oh, apple juice and sparkling water does sound nice. Cherry as well sounds good. Okay, anyway. Although Twitch prohibits monetary gain in exchange for posting substance use content, apparent lack of enforcement on Twitch community guidelines and absence of age verification means that the youth who enjoy Pokemon TCG content may be exposed to content actively promoting substance use behaviors. Okay, I agree with the second half of this, but I'm curious about how Twitch promoting monetary gain in exchange for posting substance use content has to do with the rest. I feel like these are two separate thoughts and probably shouldn't be in the same sentence. I think they might be trying to imply something here, which is that people are breaking the TOS, specifically because if they do label their stuff as having substance use, it might limit their monetization. So they're trying to, in the sentence, I think they're trying to set up a motive for why this might be, or like a reasoning behind why this trend might be happening. But I don't think they're quite getting there with the sentence itself, which, you know, it happens. Writing papers is hard. All right. In 1996, this switch sounds inappropriate for a paper. I mean, what can you do? What can you do? Like, when you're writing a paper for publication, it's probably gone through like 20 or 30 drafts. And, you know, like, if you've ever worked on like any type of writing, whether it's creative writing or whatever, and you've read it over and over and over again, like, it starts to be very difficult to like see it for what it is. I've seen worse in papers. I've seen so much worse in papers. Yeah, that's definitely not the worst I've seen. It's like mildly annoying at worst. Yeah, kana. There's some kana here. Pokémon monster. Alright, in 1996, Game Freak and Nintendo released Pokemon Red and Green, a role-playing game based around the Japanese Wait, I thought the game came before the manga. Didn't the game come before the manga? I'm like 80 to 90% sure the game came before the manga. Where players capture, train, and battle Pokemon. I honestly don't trust nature. Most of my experience, I don't read Nature Communications very often, but my general experience, like the papers that I have happened to read in Nature Communications, which again, admittedly, is a small sample, have not been great. In terms of like communication. I'm pretty sure the games were first. Like, I'm not saying that this is a problem with the paper, because like it is a factual inaccuracy which sort of like hurts their credibility. However, it's not central to their argument, so I'm willing to let it slide. You stop trusting nature columns after that. Fair enough. Let's see, the franchise originated as a pair of role-playing games. Yeah, it started as role-playing games in 1996, and when did the manga come out? The manga started in 1997, yeah. Alright, so it's just, like, it's a small factual inaccuracy, and that is kind of annoying. However, that doesn't actually have any relation, like, that factual inaccuracy has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on the claims that they're making in this paper, so, like, it makes me doubt them a little more, but it's not actually, like, it has nothing to do with their findings, so. You can read the reviewer comments, and one was like, this isn't garbage, but definitely isn't worth this, and the others were like, whoa, bigger number, RIP, oh no. Depends on which manga. I think there are multiple Gen 1 manga. The first one I could find record of was published in 1997. And that's Pokemon Adventures in English, Pokemon Monster Special in Japanese, and that, oh, these are the ones that were released in English. Where are just like the ones that are manga not released in English. Okay, there's one from 1998, so it seems like the earliest manga I can find is 1997. That's, yeah, lit reviews in part, they have 4 references here for this sentence where they get, how do you have 4 references for a sentence where like a good 50% of the words in the sentence are factual inaccuracy is what gets me. But like again, this particular factual inaccuracy has no bearing on the main point of their paper. Like, this is just me being nitpicky as somebody who happens to be familiar with like the beginnings of the Pokemon franchise. I'm nitpicking. This does not actually necessarily have any bearing on whether we can trust the results of their paper. You know, like it's completely unrelated to the results. It began in Korokoro in November 1996, so still after the game's release that February. Oh, I see. Oh, so I was probably looking at the date when the first like compiled volume of it came out, as opposed to when the first chapter was serialized. Yeah, it's just a bit worrying. Yeah, maybe. The franchise rapidly became a global phenomenon, expanding into animated television series, movies, video games, and merchandise. That is true. That is true. Oh man, I remember elementary school. Notably, one form of media was brought worldwide was the popularity of the Pokemon trading card game, which allowed fans to collect and battle with cards featuring various Pokemon. I guess the sources are about the fact that players capture, trade, and battle Pokemon. That's my guess. That's my guess, Torg. I think you're probably right about it. It's probably just like a general, here's some introductions to what the Pokemon series is than anything else. That should be the sentence with 4 citations. I don't know. Each with distinct attributes and abilities, encouraging strategic gameplay and engagement. It is weird that they're like citing what Pokemon is and what it expanded into, but they have no citations for the TCG. It's just a silly like inconsistency. Again, I don't think it speaks to anything about how convincing the main point of their paper is. It's just kind of a funny, it strikes me as a little funny, but not in like a bad way, or I doubt this paper way. It's just kind of like entertaining to me weirdly. Spanning generations, God does it. Saw that at the latest Pokemon Go gathering I went to. Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, it's just a bit goofy. It's not like something that makes me doubt them. It's just a bit goofy. Children and adults compete in Pokemon TCG tournaments, grammar, whatever. Most journals do not provide copy editing these days. Most journals just do not provide copy editing these days, which is frustrating because they say they do, and then you check the copy editing and they have changed nothing, and you still catch typos, and it's like, if you had copy edited this, surely you would have caught that. But like they say one of the part of your gigantic exorbitant open access fee goes to copy editing, but I'm pretty sure they don't actually do any copy editing at all. They just pocket that money, or like they claim that they're using it for copy editing, and then they just don't. Which is, I think, partially to justify the fee. It's frustrating. Do they ever say it's good copy? That's fair, you're right, Astral. They never say it's good copy editing. Oh, or you catch typos a year later when you're reading your own paper. Xenotime, this happens to me all the time. It is the most distressing thing, especially, like, I think there might be a handful of, like, typos and grammatical errors in my dissertation. And that one, of course, is published, and every time I catch them, I just die inside a little bit. I've been catching Pokemon for longer than the kids in the show have been intended to be alive. That should count for— right, Hair Day? Me too. I think they just took copy editing literally and just copied. Okay, that's a really funny explanation. I'm willing to accept it. Alright, beyond gameplay, the card's real-world collectible monetary value appeals to youth and young adults. This is what y'all were talking about earlier. With the most expensive Pokemon card bought in 2022 by influencer Logan Paul for $5.275 million. Is this the Charizard one that y'all were talking about? I think somehow that event just completely flew over my head. Reflecting the franchise's massive scale, between February 2023 and March 2024, the Pokemon Corporation reported producing over 64.8 billion trading cards across 93 countries and regions. Holy cow. In 2021, during the pandemic, the Pokemon TCG market surged in popularity, with card values raising by hundreds to thousands of dollars overnight. Wild. I heard about this, because this is when that, there was the Charizard Cheeto, right? There was the Charizard Cheeto, and, like, it had actually been sitting, like, in a storage room for a long time, and then, like, during the pandemic, it suddenly shot up in value because of this whole thing. I think? I watched a video essay on it recently. So, like, don't trust what I'm saying. I don't know if this is factually accurate, but I think I seem to be remembering something along those lines. But keeping in mind that we know from psychology that memory is not reliable. Alright. This increase led to demand big box retailers like Walmart and Target to limit their TCG inventory. Yeah, because there was a lot of theft. There was a lot of theft. I think the closest Target to me still does not, they stopped stocking TCG entirely, and they still do not stock Pokemon cards to this day after that, which makes me sad. Due to the decreased availability of Pokemon cards in traditional retail settings, thousands of consumers turned to secondary markets, buying cards through streaming platforms like... Wait, people buy Pokemon cards through Twitch? Shifting how collectibles were... What? What? Is it like people will do streams opening packs of cards and then sell the ones that they don't want or something? Or is it like do they treat it like an auction or something? What? What? I'm very curious. Like, is... References 12 and 13. Show me. Pokemon halts okay, so that's not it. Pokemon trading card Twitch category sees 3,000. But is this trading? Is this trading? Or is this the trading card game? I'm gonna open this in a new window because this probably isn't something that I should be... that I don't think I might have the copyright access to share this. Pokemon trading card category seated... But is this like the trading card, the mobile game, or is this like the physical cards? Does it say? The article's implying it's the physical trading card game, because I know that there's like the phone game version of the TCG. There's like an app or something for the TCG, but it seems like they're literally talking about the physical card game. Wow, I did not know that. I actually kind of want to go on Twitch and like hunt down some of these streams after reading this. This is interesting. I'm like being introduced to a whole new world. I will admit, I do enjoy watching people open card packs, even if I'm not familiar with the game. I think it's the gacha player in me. I like watching other people roll the gacha and equivalents, because like it allows me to like enjoy that thrill without having to roll the gacha myself. That's probably not healthy, but it's healthier than me being the one to roll it. This paper was sponsored by Niantic. Niantic, I don't think, has any hand in the trading card game, at least as far as I know. Twitch, a popular live streaming platform owned by Amazon, has around 30 young adults between 13 and 35. Thank you for calling adults that are 35 and younger still young adults. Thank you. I appreciate you. This is especially meaningful to me, knowing that this was co-authored by two people who seem like they were probably pretty fresh out of undergrad. I am grateful. Look, they're not calling me a hag. Isn't that nice? Exactly. That's why it's not a conflict of interest. Right. Clearly. Also comes with a lot of cool art of things you like. That's also true, Torg. That is so true. Yes, yes. Users engage in live streams centered on video. We know what Twitch is, right? We know what Twitch is. I think I've seen most of you in my Twitch streams. You know what Twitch is. We don't need to focus on this too much. You can send bits. You can do donations. Yeah. So here's the whole thing that I think is so interesting about like so-called not like 1.5 dimensional relationships is what I've seen some scholars call parasocial relationships through live streaming, because it's not fully parasocial. It's not an entirely one way. I think that's a really interesting aspect of streaming, and I need to read more into that, because there's some really interesting work out there, and I think there's a lot of interesting work to be done yet. I still haven't made a Twitch account somehow. Good for you, I think. Good for you. There's so many accounts these days. What's Twitch? I don't know, Torg. I've never heard of Twitch in my life. I certainly have not talked to you on Twitch, because I don't know what Twitch is. Here, this says that Twitch is a popular live streaming platform owned by Amazon. Apparently, it has around 35 million daily users, primarily, and it has live streams centered on video games, music, and various creative topics, allowing users to broadcast opinions to viewers who participate in an interactive online community. That's apparently what Twitch is. Apparently. We have learned a thing today. Okay, Twitch is now a platform where millions of young users regularly actively discuss, trade, and consume content about TCG. I'm really interested. This is really making me want to watch these streams now. I don't know if that was the intent of this paper, but it makes me want to watch the streams now because I'm very curious. But also where other products, services, and behaviors, including those related to substance use, may be co-marketed. See, they say marketed, but are they talking about marketing or use? I feel like they're using phrases like marketing and promotion interchangeably with use and consumption. And I think that those are two distinct constructs, that they are not the same thing, and that the correlation between the two may even be fairly weak. Specifically, content related to substance use now occurs across various social platforms, X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Co-marketed implies like active promotion. Exactly, Xeno. A lot of the time they're implying active promotion, but everything that they've talked about so far, like in the abstract, the method section of the abstract and stuff like that, has not sounded like promotion. It's just sounded like use. So like, I'm very curious, is there actually a promotion abstract or aspect here, or are they just saying promotion and not meaning it? Hey Frost, how you doing? So like, when they say promotion and marketing, do they mean promotion and marketing, or do they just mean use? Like that's we're gonna have to read the methods to find out. Yeah, room contains a model, must be promotion, right? I am promoting wooden chairs because there are wooden chairs in the lecture hall that I'm in. I am promoting glasses. I am promoting feathers. I am promoting sports coats because and blackboards and walls. I am marketing these things, as you can see. But we should check. We should check to make sure that whether they're actually doing that or if they legitimately are looking at promotion. I don't want to like tease that, like get too silly about it. I knew you were a shill for big chalk. I know, right? I guess they might consider it a normalization thing. Yeah, I could see. I think that if they are not, if there is not actually active, overt promotion and marketing here, I think they're probably using those terms to imply normalization. I think you're right, Arc. Arc or Arch? I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that you're, like, if they specifically are not talking about actual overt marketing and promotion, I think that's why they're using those words. I think it's probably they're trying to communicate normalization. I think you're right. But we'll just have to keep reading to see. For example, a study on TikTok found widespread promotion of cannabis use of a positive matter, often lacking age restrictions. Yeah, I feel like this also is implying, yeah, I think normalization is what they're talking about here, because promotion, I don't think they're using promotion the way that I'm thinking of promotion. But I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not the only one who thinks, like, literal marketing, paid, like, promotion, you should buy this. I'm not the only one who that's what I think of when I read the word promotion, right? Or am I? Like, do people use promotion to mean... I think I have seen people use the word promotion to refer to normalization, but... I mean, that's validating, though, that I'm not the only one. Yeah, I don't... This could just be me nitpicking. And maybe, like, this is, like, health anthropology, and the main... or, well, not the main... The first and second author were... just got their bachelor's, but the PhD advisor who probably helped them with this project is a health anthropologist. And it's possible that the word promotion in that particular field is used differently than how I'm familiar with the word promotion. Never seen that. I thought promotion and normalization were separate things. That's how I conceive of it too, Hairday. I think of it that way too. To me, those are two separate things. But I'm wondering if in this field, this is not technically a psychology article. None of the authors on this are psychologists. So I wonder if this could be just like a problem with like cross-field communication. I think there's some confusion because promotion in scripted content can include incidental inclusion because nothing is actually incidental. I see, Torg. I think the interesting thing here is that this is specifically non-scripted content, which does muddy the waters a bit. I think stuff like tobacco had their advertising so heavily restricted that they can only promote themselves by trying to normalize it. You know, that might be the case. That might be the case. And I could see that phrasing of like promoting, like if we think of that framing, I could see that if they're focusing on tobacco use. But I think they only had 2 out of the 200 and some people using substance use actually using any tobacco. So that does like limit that. Yeah, sharing jargon across fields can be hard. That's so true. Like one of my pie in the sky things that I would love to do someday is try and create a giant like crosswalk spreadsheet of like, here are what these terms mean in this field. Here are the equivalent terms across fields to promote cross-disciplinary collaboration. Anyone who remembers static moral licensing knows. I know. I'm still in pain over that. I'm still in pain over that because that was like, I can excuse like different fields having different words for the same thing, or different fields using the same word differently. But that static moral licensing one particularly pissed me off because they took moral licensing from the psychologist and said that they were using it from the psychologist, but they were not. There are more 15 competing. Yeah. Ah, good memories. I think it can only work. Yeah, I would love to do it. It sounds really difficult. They took down all the posters over the summer. That's probably for the best, let's be honest. We did figure out what it meant eventually, right? We found out what they were trying to say eventually, because fortunately, Econonon happened to pop in and help. Oh, man. Good times, good times. Another study on Instagram found a highly interconnected network on e-cigarette brand influencers. So this sounds like they're literally talking about brand promotion when they phrase it this way, with 75% of them not restricting their content to youth. Anonicon says they are savior. Yeah. Well, I haven't heard from Anonicon in a while, actually. I should go bug him. He came to visit, actually, fairly recently. It was really fun. Further, these displays were reinforced by peer engagement and contributed to Similarly, research on Facebook has demonstrated that users who displayed alcohol in profile images were more likely to report increased personal use. So this is not promotion. This seems to be promotion because they're saying brand influencers. That one's not promotion. I'll be mostly lurking because I'm completely mentally... That's fair. That's okay, Frost. No worries. You are never under any pressure to participate. You are free to lurk the whole time. You don't even have to announce your presence if you're not if you don't want to. Only ever participate if you're up for it. Oh, hey, Eggy, how you doing? It's bird brain time. You are so right. It's time for bird brains. Oh, wow, I see your flex in there. I did not see that before. Is that new, or have you always been flexing? Can't... My memory's really bad because, bird brain. Okay, further, these displays were reinforced by peer engagement and contributed to shaping self-identity around drinking culture where heavily consumption was framed as socially acceptable or desirable. You're not free to lurk and must comment at least once every... No, Torg, no! You don't have to sneak into a building to print out and put up silly posters. That's true. I'll personally announce my presence just giving you... Fair enough. Thanks for this. Oh, nice. Also, sorry, I'm acquiring candy corn. There we go, delicious candy corn. But yeah, in this paragraph, and this is why I'm so confused. Delicious candy corn. As they switch between framing promotion in terms of just normalization to specifically talking about brand influencers implying monetary promotion formalized through a company. And then they go back to framing it as normalization. I'm not sure. Does it? I think in this particular context, it is important to distinguish between those two things. I think there might be some context where it doesn't matter whether it's just normalization or active marketing, but I think in this particular context, especially because it's talking about children seeing content that probably isn't appropriate for them, I think in this case it is important to distinguish between normalization and marketing. I was hoping they would have a clear definition of promotion, ideally even a little table of examples. We're still in the introduction, so maybe we'll see that in the methods, because like I said, they're using content coding, and one of the most important things for good content coding is having a very strict set of rules and definitions. So I'm hoping that the methods section, they will get very specific. Failure to comment will be responded to with a prompt and thorough cleansing of the perpetrator's nostrils with a solid... No, that sounds so painful. Please be kind to each other. Alright. For Twitch, streams may pose specific risks for use in young adults, though only a few studies have been conducted examining Twitch content. One study found that social media influencers on Twitch actively promoted e-cigarette use, often in exchange for compensation. Okay, so this is talking about active marketing. This one is specifically talking about active marketing. I forgot we're doing it dubious words per minute. Yeah. Yeah, we're not going full tilt. We're going slow today. There are a few tables of examples, but I'm not sure if they are what you're looking for. Yeah, I saw some pictures down there. I'm very excited. I love pictures. I love papers with pictures. That makes me happy. That's something I've never grown out of. There are a few examples. All right. I feel the pain in my ears. Oh no. 10.65. Look at me. I'm ramping up. I'm ramping up. I'm never going to go hit my record, but that's okay. I'm not aiming for a record today. Delicious candy corn. Okay. So often in exchange for compensation. This specific thing that they're citing for e-cigarettes is specifically marketing and promotion. Sorry. With minimal platform restrictions raising public health concerns due to Twitch's predominantly adolescents and youth user base and resulting exposure to substance use content. Papers full of pretty diagrams is why I'm in chemistry. I'm only kind of joking. I get you, Xenotime. I wish there were more, like, pictures in psych papers. One of my career goals as a research psychologist is to publish a paper with a hand-drawn figure in it. I'm not sure how I'm going to pull this off, but it is one of my dreams. One of my dreams. Anyway. Alright. Okay, so that's specifically about marketing. Another study found widespread marketing of energy drinks and sugary beverages products on Twitch gaming channels, including extensive, like, gamer subs or something, probably. Well, you're crazy good at drawing, so it's in the card. Thank you! Well, the problem is just finding an excuse that will make it past the peer reviewers, right? And you don't have to be crazy good at drawing to get a figure in there. Look at Kurt Lewin? They seem to subdivide the behavioral promotion, monetary gain, and product promotion. They do. And gamer subs. I'm pretty sure this is subtweeting gamer subs and similar things. Widespread marketing of energy drinks and sugary beverage products on Twitch gaming channels include. I'm never gonna get that gamer subs sponsorship because I'm throwing shade at them in a paper reading. It's just not in the cards. Oh, speaking of gender fluid, there is a drink that you can order called Gender Fluid. I have a couple of cans of it. Econonon actually got me some cans of it. It's a sparkling water. I think it's like lemon and something flavored. It was okay. It wasn't that great, but the can is hilarious, so I saved the empty can. I'm not sure why gamers would need so much caffeine. Why? To fuel those late night gaming. I need to be able to stay up and train my horse squirrels. I need caffeine. Anonacon Sensei really is a legend. It's true. Anonacon Sensei is a legend. Even if he is an economist, I forgive him for it. Okay. Sleep is for the weak, true. I must drink the gender fluid. Yeah, it's not bad. Let me see if I can find. I think it's gender fluid drink. It's from Meow Wolf, the guys who did like Omega Mart, that weird like surreal grocery store thing in Las Vegas. Yeah, gender fluid. Oh, it's lavender and lemon flavored sparkling water. I wonder if I can put this link there. There's gender fluid. It's beautiful, isn't it? I have three cans of this. No, it's not photoshopped. I have 3 cans of it. I have one that I haven't drank yet, and 2 that, 2 empty ones. It does look like Weed Killer. I think, and that's kind of the point. It's definitely leaning into the, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? It's gorgeous. It's so beautiful. Industrial strength, it says. Good stuff. Good stuff. The taste is okay. It's not bad, but I wouldn't consider it good either. But again, I'm not like a huge fan of sparkling water, but the marketing alone is funny. $5 a piece is crazy. Yeah, because it's an art piece. Like, Meow Wolf are kind of a group of, like, artists, I would say. And it's, like, part of their art piece-ish. Should do a chemistry video with gender fluid, why not? And, okay. Suggesting Twitch is a growing channel for exposure to other unhealthy products. However, no study specifically analyzed Twitch content for influencers, advertising, or behaviors associated with substance use topics because it's so specific, that's why. You're looking at a very specific community. You're not even looking at Pokemon Twitch creators as a whole. You're looking at Pokemon TCG Twitch. That's why nobody studied it, because it's so specific to the point where this is basically a case study. It's not gonna be... It feels almost needlessly specific. Not to say that I'm not enjoying it. Gender gas, gender solid, and gender plow. Oh my gosh. Organic chem skills to turn gender fluid drink into estrogen. Oh my gosh. Which also has participation and is appealing to many children and young adults. Okay, but like many things fit that category. I'm still kind of stuck on why Pokemon TCG particular. Like if the argument is that it's popular with children and young adults, couldn't they just have used Pokemon as a whole? Like, I'm still unsure why it has to be this in particular, but I think the answer to why they chose this in particular is because the first and second author on the paper probably specifically observed this phenomenon in this particular context, and that was what motivated them to get the paper done, because they found that specific context particularly interesting, and therefore... Like, if that's what gets the paper done, if that's what keeps you engaged, I think that's a valid reason. Like, do we know if this generalizes to the general Pokemon community or the general, like, experience that kids on Twitch have? No, because this is such a specific slice of that. But it's like a piece of the puzzle, right? Would I have gone this specific? Definitely not. But it's a piece of the puzzle, and it's hard to motivate yourself to go through the publication process, and if focusing on that specific piece is what it took for them, then I think that's okay. Hence, the objective of the study was to assess if popular Twitch Pokemon TCG content also includes content that promotes substance use topics, products, and behavior among the young audience for Twitch, and past studies that have observed minimal content moderation on the platform. So they're both trying to replicate findings of past studies of failure to moderate content of substance use that isn't age-gated, and also to see if it's appearing in this particular community. So it's a replication in a specific context, mainly. I watch a few Pokemon YouTubers, and I don't think that any of them ever mentioned drugs. Same. And I think this one was saying that what percentage of it? I think it was only like 25% of these people were using substances. Yeah, only 25% of them were using substances at all. 75%, so that's the vast majority of these content creators were not using any substances. Alright, methods. Here. Maybe we'll get some of our answers now. The study was conducted in 3 phases, so this is the same thing that they said above. I think they just copy-pasted this, which, valid, honestly. Data mining on 2 Twitch data aggregation websites. Data filtering using keywords through a snowball sampling strategy on the title of a Twitch stream. Oh, so the snowball sampling strategy was on the title of the stream and not the streamer themselves. They're picking keywords through snowball sampling. So they pick a keyword, find a bunch of stream titles that have that keyword in it, identify other keywords in the new stream titles, and then use those to find more stream titles. So, I've never seen snowball sampling used that way, but I think that's a cool way to do it, and I think it still risks getting you caught in a bubble, but I don't think it's as risky for getting caught in, like, nearly as risky for getting caught in the bubble if you look specifically on asking streamers to refer you to other streamers. I think that's good. Like, it's not perfect, but it's better than what we were initially thinking. Oh, Astrals had the opposite experience to Hair Day. That's kind of funny. Alright. Content coding. I'm very excited for the content coding using the World Health Organization protocol on internet monitoring and marketing of unhealthy products to children and adolescents for influencer micro... They said this before. So are they are they only basing it on the streamer's profile, or are they basing it on the contents of the streams? Like, okay, they're looking at moderation in the streams, but for the substance, are they only looking at the profile, or are they actually looking at, like, the VODs? That's what I'm... Oh, so, well, I mean, I'm sure it'll say here. The first phase of the study used 2 data aggregation collection sites to identify individual high-volume users of Twitch specific to Pokemon TCG. So, are these high-volume streamers? You stream, like, people who are streaming a lot, or watching a lot? Which I guess isn't mutually exclusive, you know, but... And to collect the historical data of archived Twitch streams for content analysis. So they are looking at the streams, and these are the archived ones specifically. Data aggregation sites used in the study included documentation about how they retrieve and aggregate information using the official Twitch API. Can I access the API, do you think? I wanna scrape Twitch for data. Sullynome is a website that performs analytical tracking across all individual streamer categories on viewership trends, channel performance, and watch and streaming time. Was used to collect all available Twitch streamers who broadcast under the... So they are using the category. They are using the category. Okay, that's good. That's good. These methods are looking a lot better than they sounded from the abstract, which makes me very happy. Of course, that's the problem with abstracts. You can only put so much information in there. A total of 7,012 users were identified. However, only the first 1,025 were selected as they had the highest volume of streaming hours. So basically, they're focusing on the people that are most likely to be in front of watchers' faces the most. Like, the problem with content coding, I love content coding, and I think it's a really fun way to, like, work with data. But it's very, very labor-intensive and takes a lot of time and effort. It probably just wasn't feasible to go through all 7,000, so they specifically picked a subset that they thought were going to have the biggest impact, in that they were the ones that were showing up the most, which I think is a very smart way of doing it. The ones that people were most likely to encounter in this category. For the 1-year period. I think the only smarter way to do it, rather than the amount of streaming hours they had, was their average viewership for those streaming hours, right? Because if you just want to see the ones who are, like, the type of content that's getting in front of the most eyes, I think that's better reflected by the audience size than it is by the total volume of hours. Because I would stream for, like, 5,000 hours to absolutely no audience. Or I could stream for 5 minutes to an audience of millions. One of those is getting in front of millions of eyes and probably affecting a lot more people, whereas the other one's getting in front of 0 eyes, and even though I'm streaming a whole lot, it's having no effect on anyone else, right? Well, let's see what they say. So this is 2023 to 2024. Exactly 1 year. I'll use Twitch Tracker to titles of stream clips, followers, viewership statistics. There we go, viewership statistics, including views, peak viewership, and trends, contained aggregated statistics and content from past available streams. For each individual streamer identified, so all 1,025 streamers, and selected, we used the Twitch Tracker to collect data for analytics on streams, and then manually reviewed all stream titles that matched our keyword list described below. So they manually reviewed every stream in this 1-year period for these 1,025 heavy streamers in this category. When they say manually, I hope it wasn't manually. I hope it was like a Control F scenario, you know? Hey, Appa, how you doing? Yeah, I really hope that they don't mean manually as in by hand. I hope they mean manually as in, like, they Control F'd or, like, used code to identify the ones that... But that's not manually at that point, right? I don't know. I hope when they say manually, they don't mean manually in this case, because holy cow. Alright, keyword generation. We're going to get some more information on that snowball sampling. The second phase filtered streams for possible substance use related content. We identified 31 relevant keywords, including 3 emojis, to filter through the titles and profiles of identified Twitch streamers affiliated with the Pokemon TCG category. So they're basing... So this means they might have been missing more casual substance use. So maybe this lends something to their talking about promotion, because it looks like they only did a deeper dive on streams that they already suspected might have it. Which also means that potentially they're overestimating the amount of substance use if they were only checking streams that they thought were likely to have it. Or underestimating if there were streams they thought that were unlikely to have it that did in fact have it. I wonder if that balances out. Or let's keep reading. It's possible that there's something else going on here. Keyword selection used an approach similar to digital snowball sampling strategy, where we conducted manual searches for data filtering to find a keyword or creator that discussed substance use topics that subsequently led us to additional keywords we would use for further data collection. So they identified creators that were using substances, checked the language that these creators were using, and used that to identify other creators that were probably using substances. I don't know if that's a terribly valid way to do it, but I can't think of a more valid way to do it. Like, it's kind of one of those situations where, like, this probably isn't a great method, but I don't know if there is a great method kind of deal. Used to identify streamers and descriptions on Twitch that made references to or used alcohol, cannabis, or tobacco while streaming. We can see the list of words, because I was wondering, like, okay, they're assuming these words have connections, or it sounds like they're assuming these words have connections, but we can check. We can look at the supplementary materials. Oh, I have to download them. That's gross. Oh, I love pictures. Oh, okay. Okay. These drinks definitely make sense. There is, the keywords they were looking for were 420. What's 710? Am I just too pure and innocent to know what that stands for? Emoji of a wine glass, an emoji of beer. I don't know what this emoji is. Alcohol, beer, birthday, and B-day for some reason are keywords, which I don't... Like, the rest of these are pretty overt, like things like literally blaze it, cannabis. Well, the Word doc also has images in it. Using drugs vernacular equals more drug use. Yeah, but like, birthday. Yeah, the words birthday and B-day. And Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo, I guess, in the US is associated with drinking. 21st birthday I could understand, but that is not in here. It's specifically the word birthday and B-day. Also the word juice, which I could see. St. Patrick is also in here. New Year's is also in here. But most of the other words make sense. 710 is oil day? Oil day? Weed oil. Okay, that makes sense. Juice does track, but I feel like it can make sense of other things. Oh, they're showing... I don't... So the images that are in here are pictures from Twitch profiles that they say indicate substance use. Some of these are pretty obvious. Like, there's one of, like, Togepi hitting a bong. That's pretty obvious. But some of them don't look all that obvious. Oh, here's one of, like, it's a Gamer Supps promotion where the art on the Gamer Supps cup is a girl in a bikini with a marijuana leaf on it. Oh, absolutely incredible. Absolutely. Oh, so these are just... Are these... Oh, these are each from a specific... Okay. I see. So there's only one thing on each profile that indicates some sort of use, but... Oh, it's not only that there is a... It's not only that there is a cannabis leaf on the bikini, it literally comes with a tray intended to rest your blunt on. So it's literally promoting products intended to be used with cannabis. And then that one up here. This one is not... So the one below is... Hey, Cryo. Do they count chemical structures as indication for substance use? That's not on their list, unfortunately. That's not on their list. Here, let's see if I can... I'm, like, reluctant to show this too, because I could accidentally dox myself. But, like, the first image that they show as an example is just a picture of Pokémon characters, like, Doxed time? No, it's not doxed time. One of the, like, the first example that they show of a Twitch profile just shows, like, Togepi and Snorlax hitting Pokemon-shaped bongs. So that's not promoting a product. But the one below that example is specifically showing a product intended to be used with cannabis products. So they have two visual examples here of these profiles that are promoting quote unquote substances. The top one I would not say is necessarily like marketing-y promoting it. The bottom one absolutely is. Well, it's promoting accessories associated with it. Should have brought Nep in to collab. Maybe. All right, let's see. Where were we? All right. Content analysis, my favorite. The third phase was conducted through a deductive content coding approach using WHO protocols to identify and characterize specific themes and subthemes from selected streamers who discussed and promoted substance use topics. The deductive scheming and coding schema. So this is like basically the method. Here's the thing you'd be able to tell. It's a smoking thing without knowing it beforehand. And that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think that's probably what the snowball sampling was. Like, if they found that somebody was saying 420, and they also found that they were using the word gas, and they found that 420 and gas happened to go together a lot, they could probably infer that gas was referring to something related to substance use or cannabis, right? I've been distracted giving all my money to Meow Wolf. I thought you said you should have bought it. No. None of that in this house, Xenotime. None of that in this house. I don't even drink alcohol, and I've been able to legally drink alcohol for about 1 billion years now. Like, I'm not gonna be saying that I should bring that kind of thing. I don't even drink all that much caffeine. I don't even use caffeine. Uh-oh. Careful, Xenotime. Careful. Now you have me anxious. Alright. Please don't give them all your money. Oh my god, Xenotime. Come on. It's a fun thing. It's a fun novelty thing, but like, it's not something to spend that much money on. Anyway. The deductive coding schema focused on identification of specific substance use categories and types of promotional cues. What do you mean by promotional? This is the question we've been asking all night. Additional emergent subthemes for the general themes categorizing why streamers included substance use content or engaged in substance use behavior or separately and deductively coded due to a lack of existing coding. So most of this, I think it's okay. I spent $50 on some gender fluid and a cool shirt. I'm not actually, okay, good. Sorry, I worry a lot about money, both my own and other people's. Alright, cool. Okay. Oh, I'm worrying again. I'm just gonna focus on this paper. You don't need me to act like a parent, do you? I'm not your parent. You don't need me to be, like, fretting over you. I'm doing it anyway. But I'm gonna distract myself with the paper that I'm supposed to be reading. Okay. So they're using a pre-existing method for identifying... Let the paper distract you. I'm trying. So the certain drug, there's a thing called blue caps. If you don't know what it is, it wouldn't promote it. If you know what it does, drug shibboleth. Yeah. You're not my dad, Kurt. Yeah, I'm not your dad. I'm Astral's dad. I'm Sai's dad. I'm not your dad, though. I do have several children, but you are not one of them. Alright, where were we? Okay. And so they didn't have a pre-existing way of determining, like, noting down the intent behind showing the substance, and so they created their own method. Sorry, Xenotime. Sorry, Xenotime. I think that you're your own dad. I'm talking in terms of VTuber models, of course. In terms of VTuber models, Xenotime, I think you're your own dad. I wasn't paying attention to that, caught me off guard. Hello, my son. Hello, my son. How are you doing? How was your day at school, kids? Have you done your homework, son? I don't have a dad since Vera. Exactly, Zeno. You are your own father. Come on. You are your own dad. I am my own dad as well. I am also my own dad. For those of you unfamiliar with the lingo, by the way, the person who draws a live 2D model is the mom, and the person who rigs the live 2D model is the dad, and calling a rigger dad might be unfortunate. I did both the art and the rigging for all of the models that I have currently out there, so I'm just the parent. My father's vroid.exe, but I'm my own mother. I'm my own grandpa. Dad, Eggy, you're not my child. Eggy, you're not my child. If Astral wants ice cream, maybe we can get Astral some ice cream, but Eggy, you aren't my child. So that won't work on me. Astral, please don't ask me for ice cream. It's past your bedtime. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. Can I have ice cream? I spent all my money on vendor. The whole time, I'm not your parent. It's only 1 a.m. It's past your bedtime, Astral. Astral, ask your dad to go get violin following the Agnes path with plus 1,000 children. I only have 2 so far, with a 3rd on the way. I have 2 children so far, and a 3rd child on the way. I got some Ben & Jerry's. Oh my gosh, I want Ben & Jerry's right now. Hopefully the stream won't go on the whole night. And A. Right, there's A. So I have 3 children with a 4th on the way. 3 children with a 4th child on the way. 5 children if you count me as my own child. When VTuber rigging drawing terms overlap was some of the sci-fi settings I've read. I love that. I mean, somehow that seems like it fits, Bobo. I'm not gonna lie. It does feel kind of sci-fi-y. I have created your body. The Z-rig doesn't count. I think the Z-rig does count. I just tend to forget about it because Z's only used it twice. And one of those times was like only for like 2 or 3 minutes, so I tend to forget. Oh, Warpy hasn't been born yet. Don't worry, Warpy. One day, perhaps you will be born, but you don't need to be born if you don't want. Z-rig counts. Okay, alright. I have 4 children. Wait. I have 3 children with a 4th on it? Don't violate space-time and stream. Plus 10 chance. I want to create an army of VTuber children. This is my dream. Do A and Z count separately? I'm not counting them separately. I'm only counting the person... Wait, that's a good question. So, the person... I was gonna say I only count the person behind... How do I separate it out? Because, like, I was counting... Because Sai has 2 models from me, but I was only counting her as 1 child. Because both of those models are just for 1 person. But for Z, it's the same model for 2 separate characters. Now the models count separate normally? They do? I'm having an existential crisis. A little bit. A and Z are separate characters, but Adventure Time Psy and 2.0 Psy are the same character. See, that's how I was thinking of it, Astral, but now I'm starting to doubt everything. I genuinely consider Bobo as wiser than me. So, Bobo is swaying me. Bobo is making me confused and doubting myself. How many children do I have? This is just an uncertainty on your child count. For Iron Mouse, some of her creators have been counted for each entry. I see. If A and B both promote alcohol, does it count as 2 promotions? That depends on the coding scheme that you're using. Oh my god, I don't know how many children I have. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't even think I have that many, but I already don't know how many children I have. And it's only gonna get worse. Because I'm about to, right after this stream, I'm going to finish birthing another child. I hate putting it that way. Why did I put it that way? Can we pick a 4 to 6? And then meanwhile, my fluffy child, my cat, is just has the most tired expression on his face. He is so done with this. I love you, Mr. Kitty. I love you, Soma. You're the best. I don't know how many children I have. Streamer gets him for being a deadbeat parent. Horatius the Dwarf is going to be like one less VTuber. I can see it now. Of course, you're birthing another child today on all days since Labor Day. See how oh, I timed that really badly, or really well, depending on how you look at it. Y'all won't see the child, though. Y'all won't. You just create the children, throw them into the world, and forget about them. Our collabs just child. Mr. Kitty, can you steal Mylan's credit card so we can buy it? Oh my god, I'm a horrible parent. Mr. Kitty, please don't steal my credit card. He could if he wanted to. He has access to it. Mr. Kitty, please don't steal. He has no interest. He doesn't know what my credit card is for, so it's okay. Right, Mr. Kitty? He slow blinked at me. I love you, Mr. Kitty. You're the best kitty I have ever known. Oh, he's a good boy. You would never betray me, would you? Oh, he slow blinked when I asked him. So that means he says yes, he would never betray me. Mr. Kitty, do you want me? Do you think that I should buy ice cream for chat? Why did you slow blink at that? Now you're betraying me, Mr. Kitty. He's just slow blinking at anything that I say to him. I think he's not actually even slow blinking. I think he's just falling asleep. Time to bride Mr. Kitty with catnip. No, that is substance use. We cannot let him see the Twitch streamers or the YouTube streamers possessing catnip. Oh, Kitty can have some ice cream as a treat. I don't know if that's... Oh, good boy. He's yawning. I think he wants to take a nap. Take a good nap, Mr. Kitty. I love you. Oh, he's so cute. I need to get... If it's substance use, it's on topic. We need to get back on topic. We need to get back on topic. I'm getting really distracted by how cute Mr. Kitty is. So we need to get back on topic. We're locking in. We're locking in. Yeah, he's gonna have a real nice nap. He refuses to get ice cream for chat. Yes, because he's a good man. Also, the only ice cream place near me is pretty expensive, so sorry. Sorry. I'm not rolling in money. I'm a teacher. I'm not rolling in money, everyone. You're getting distracted for the allegations of serial child neglect. I don't neglect my children, I swear. Maybe I neglect Astral and A just a little bit. Mr. Kitty, help. He came over to save me. He says, no, Mylan is a great parent. Mylan's a great parent. He's coming here to defend me. Or maybe he's coming here to yell at me because he thinks I'm not paying him enough attention, and therefore I am a neglectful parent. Mr. Kitty, you want to come up here? You want to come help me read the paper? Okay, he doesn't want to help me read the paper. We gotta keep reading, though. We're gonna do it. We've been going for 2 hours. I hate... It's not even a long paper. I am in dismay. I am in distress. I am disappointed in me. I'm disappointed in you. I'm disappointed in that Meow. He's a very eloquent young man. He's very good at speaking. He's a good boy. Oh, good kitty. Okay, the tangents are consuming us. It's true. We're gonna lock back in. We're gonna go back to reading. No, he's busy drafting his statements for the court of VTuber child neglect where damages are paid in ice cream. No. I'm disappointed in myself too, Astral. So if I'm disappointed in everyone equally, am I actually disappointed in anyone? Because no one I just have to, I think at that point I just need to adjust my priors. Anyway, let's keep reading. Coders manually reviewed filtered content of influencers and micro-influencers for study. So filtered meaning these are the ones that they had identified specifically that contained the words that they were looking at. And micro-influencers for study inclusion criteria, which included the mention of substance use disorder behavior or associated product. Substance use or substance use disorder? Like just drinking or straight up alcoholism? Promotion of substance use in text, image, or video. Okay, so what do they mean? What do you mean by promotion? Okay, the first and second authors are the ones who did the coding, and they reviewed the content of all of them for inclusion, and ooh, their kappa, their inter-rater reliability was 0.98. So it's frustrating that they haven't given us like a clear definition of what counts as promotion here, but it seems like they do have a clear definition. I think substance was any sort of mind-altering substance that is specifically age-gated. Did they attach a definition guide? No. Like, let's look at the supplemental material, because usually that would be in there. The supplement doesn't have nearly as much information as I'd normally like to see in a supplement. It only has the list of words they used, and it has 2 example pictures of streamers' profiles. One of them is called marketing, or they've labeled both as marketing. One of them I would say is marketing because it is marketing products it's actively advertising products intended to be used with substances. The other one, they call it marketing because it has an image that includes substances on it and a link to a shop, but there's no indication that the shop has anything to do with the substances. So I'm not really sure what they mean when they mean marketing. They seem to be conflating actual marketing of actual products related to substance use between having a link to a storefront on the same page where there is a meme of somebody using a substance. And I don't think those are the same thing. But I think for the purposes of the study, they're treating them as the same thing. In the case of inconsistent results, authors reviewed and conferred to reach consensus on the correct classification. So most of the time they were agreeing, and then when they didn't agree, they talked about it and figured out what they thought was the appropriate answer. Yeah, the store could be like their gamer subs. Well, the thing is, the one that is actively promoting stuff that is meant to be used with cannabis is the gamer subs one. It has a gamer subs cup with a cannabis leaf on it, and apparently gamer subs sells like a tray intended for you to rest your blunt on. Apparently that's how they're framing it anyway, and that's kind of what the ad looks like. So it's literally the gamer subs that is the promotion. I did not know gamer subs had that kind of product. Gotta be real here, this seems to be a pretty big hole in the study. How are we supposed to draw conclusions with shaky foundations? It is still data, so we can still draw something from it. It's just how much do we trust it? How much do we think we can generalize it? I think I think it's a big hole, because for me, promotion, I'm specifically thinking of promotion in the context of promoting a product. However, I do want to note that the author who was like guiding these people in the study and the discipline that this study is written for, it's written for health anthropologists, or I forget the full title it's written for anthropologists, and I'm a psychologist. These anthropologists might have a different definition for the word promotion than the one I am assuming. And I think at this point in the paper, I think we're pretty safe to say that when these authors say promotion, they mean normalizing, which could be commercial promotion, but it could also be like showing off something, making it look cool, actively engaging with something on the stream, acting like it is normal and cool and like just normative to consume these substances. I think that's what they mean when they say promotion, but I'm still stuck in my own personal definition of promotion, as I would view it as a psychologist who spent time in a marketing lab. For me, promotion is a very specific meaning, and I'm getting the sense from them that in their field of study, promotion has a different meaning, and they did not think to define promotion in the paper because they assumed that it was only people in their field of study who understood what they meant by the word promotion that would be reading it. And it's kind of on me for reading outside of my field of study and assuming that the definitions from my field apply to another field, when I know that that is commonly not the case, that different fields use the same word in different ways. So it could be a problem, cryo, if this is not how the word promotion is typically used in their area. In that case, that could be a problem. But if this is how the word promotion is used in their area, and they are using it correctly, then this isn't so much a problem with the study as it is just a problem with cross-discipline communication. Does that make sense? Like, it's not necessarily a problem. It could just be like think of it like talking, like somebody from the US talking to somebody in Australia and saying the word, like, or someone from Australia talking to somebody in the US and using the word thong. That's a word, like, they're both speaking the same language, they're both speaking English, but the word thong has very different meanings, right? I think that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Like, we're both speaking academic ease and English, but the backgrounds that we're coming from may have different meanings for that same word, and that is causing communication difficulties, I think. I know a bit about like US laws around this, even without the words conveying a positive message about this, is not necessarily promotion, but like you have disclosed if there was payment control associated. That makes sense. Yeah. Like, it's a weird case. It's a weird case, but I think this is just a genuine miscommunication here caused by differing definitions, and it could have been averted if they had defined promotion for us. But very much, if you are stuck in your particular discipline, it's very easy to assume that everybody else is using the words you use in the same way that you do. And as we learned on that moral licensing stream, that is not the case. Did check that tray is for the charismatic plant, which does surprise me. Also, they have toilet paper too. Baffling. Fascinating. Thank you for looking, Bobo. Like, they said it in the things that it was for that plant, but I was just so surprised that I kind of didn't believe it. It does, but for the sake of interdisciplinary communication, it should be better defined. I come from math, and we always define terms such as normal because it's a term with various meanings. I totally get that, Cryo. And, like, I agree. I think it's very important, and I'm actually kind of an oddity, I think. I tend to read a lot of papers from a lot of different disciplines that I am not trained in. Like, for my dissertation, I cited papers in psychology, but I also cited papers from political science, and I cited papers from historians, and I cited papers from anthropologists. And like, I read a lot cross-disciplinary. Like, that's a thing that I do, but that is very much not the norm. It's pretty unusual for people to read out of their particular area. And the main reason that I ended up reading so much out of my particular area is because I decided to study a topic that there wasn't a lot of work on it. So if I wanted to find relevant literature, I had to spread a really wide net, right? But if you're in an area that has a lot of work, like substance use or promotion of substance use, that's a pretty big area, and you could stay in their small, like, you can stay in your small area all you want. I pride myself for citing 2 actual spell books. Oh my gosh, Bobo, I need to know more about this. I think the fun things that I have cited tweets, I have cited fake news websites, I have cited late night shows, and I have cited Terry Pratchett's 1 or 2 of Terry Pratchett's Discworld books. Those are my favorite citations that I've done, I think. I think I've also cited Reddit and various things. You can cite some really fun stuff. Especially if you're studying something to do with media or like more esoteric stuff or like basically any topic. I think you could find a way to cite something fun. Thinking that this might be a fun paper idea. Problems arising from interdisciplinary variants of definitions. I agree, Carl. I'm pretty sure papers of that exist. Discworld citation is amazing. I freaking think that Terry Pratchett, I know Terry Pratchett was not a social psychologist. His primary occupation was as an author. I consider Terry Pratchett a social psychologist, and I think he would have been one of the greatest social psychologists ever if he had gone to the discipline. Like, read Jingo. Like, read any of the Discworld books, or any of Terry Pratchett's books. They have such incredible insight into the ways that humans interact with society and groups and group identity and things like that. Like, he had crazy insight. It's amazing. It's amazing. Like, I think almost every psychology paper could cite Discworld and it would make sense. That's Sir Terry Pratchett. You're right, Drummer Thax. I'm sorry. Sir Terry Pratchett. Sir Pratchett. The Elder Scrolls and one of the first the Ebers Scrolls, one of the first herbal tomes out of China. I love that, Bobo. That's awesome. Now I want someone to compile a list of unhinged citations complete out of context. I would love that. That sounds fun. Vimes is a hideously human character. Super agree. The Night Watch books were some of my favorites for sure. I really loved the Night Watch books. I think that was my favorite, like, cast in Discworld. I need to go back and read those books. I read one of them fairly recently, but it's been a while since I read most of them. Anyway, okay. Once a Twitch user was confirmed for inclusion in the study, deductive content coding, substance use category, so the type of substance, and I think the 3 categories they came up with was alcohol, cannabis, and tobacco. 2, promotional cues. Were they displaying it? Like, so were they showing it off, I guess? Or is display, like, were they showing it off, or was it just in the picture? Brand, so was the brand visible? Description and presentation, so how they were talking about it or showing it. And I think the description and presentation is very, like, clearly, that seems to lean a lot more into how I think of promotional. Inductive content coding for emergent themes. So this is like, they're trying to, these are things that they set out to identify. These are things that, like, they noticed patterns as they were going. So stated reasons or rationale for streaming substance use behavior content. So were people trying to explain why they were using this on stream? Specific forms of substance use behavior. So were they drunk? Were they inebriated? Were they just using it casually and not, like, very affected? Reminder, Pratchett had a sword made from a meteorite after Sir Pratchett. That is so cool. Drummer Thrax. Terry Pratchett is awesome. Terry Pratchett's awesome. Anyway. Substance use depictions and content for monetary gain generated from platform interactions. Oh, so this would be like, maybe like I'll take a drink if I get X number of bits or followers or something? Like, specifically substance use in relation with monetary gain. Maybe not through selling the product, but selling the product might be part of it, but like other things as well. All right, I think that helps a little clarify what they mean by promotion. I think promotion is largely normalization, but they also have like little subcategories and notes that they can make that are more leaning towards specifically promotion and marketing, like more specifically. So here's their code book. So they have a general theme, behavioral. The general theme was personal use with no intention of monetary gain. So this is, they're just using the product. They don't seem to have any expectation that they're going to get any money about it. Yeah, I love this, right? I was hoping we'd get to see this as well. I also love that weed typo Xenotime. They're very appropriate given the context. A sub-theme entertainment. Reminds me of that one VTuber, Idlecry, I believe. Oh my gosh, that one VTuber. Oh my gosh. That was a whole thing, wasn't it? I was completely unaware that it was happening at the time, but like, I've seen so many video essays about that whole thing. Oh my god. There was so much happening. Anyway, okay, streamer mentioned substance use for entertainment purposes. Example, show me. Why is the image so small? We cringe, we drink, just don't tell YouTube it's alcohol. I remember that fiasco. They what? Don't worry about it, Astral. Don't worry about it. You don't need to know any more about this instance. It's better for your mental health this way. It's better for your mental health that you never learn any more about this particular VTuber. Event-driven, celebrating a holiday or personal achievement, so they're drinking to celebrate themselves. And it looks like these are not quotes from the things, they are specifically the titles of the streams based on like the fact that they have commands in them. So 420 Greg care package unboxing, then huge Pokemon celebration. Intoxication. Streamer has intention to stream and exhibit being tipsy, drunk, or hungover. Late night drunk stream PSA reveal and pack battles. Let's go. So that very clearly intending to get drunk. Casual use. Casually uses substances to cope with their needs. Pokemon and drinks, never played. How do they? I don't get how this one separates out from. Well, I guess for entertainment purposes, we cringe, we drink. So the drink is framed as entertainment. Where's that? I want to know. I'm a dark type. I don't take psychic damage. Good for you, Heriday, but I'm not going to talk about it here on this stream. And content creative stream. Currently live with a drunk games with friends. At least they say drink responsibly in there, and 21 plus in there. I'll give them that. This is and these are the ones that are monetary gain. So specifically, where they're using substances or displaying substances with the intention to get money. So this is bits. Makes Psychic side of me happy that Pokemon is dark. Drinking a Pokemon, $5 out of 500 bits, 1 sub to make me take a shot. Okay. So that's clearly, they are consuming a substance as a way to make money. Virtual goods, see, drinking stream 18 plus 5 subs equals 1 shot, followers, shots for new followers, cash donated to the streamer off platform. Okay, if people really want to know, Google Idol Corp Rero. Yeah, that will get you all the information that you need to know, and far more information more information than you ever needed or wanted to know. If you're really curious, you can go down that rabbit hole. I do not recommend going down that rabbit hole, and also that rabbit hole, do not go in the interest of, age gating and like being concerned about there are a lot of adult topics brought up in discussions of Idol Corp's Rero. Okay? So, like, be aware that that is content for adults. I want to be the guy taking screenshots of stream time. I know, right, Eggy? This is the type of part of research that I really, really love. Okay, here's product promotion. So they do specifically have a subcategory for product promotion in the way that we were thinking about. A guy who did something like that, what the paper describes when he's very clear that he's drinking water. I love that. Need to know is a stretch. Yeah, you don't need to know anything about Rero. You really don't need to know anything about Rero. If you're curious, look it up, but lots of adult content there. I do not look it up if you are underage, okay? Like, lots of adult content related to it. Please do not look up the Rero stuff if you're underage. Not a child-friendly situation there at all. All right, direct promotion of substance use where a product is endorsed by a brand or exchanged for non-monetary benefits. So this is direct substance marketing. They are directly marketing the substance. Wine Wednesday, visit blah blah blah. So they're marketing wine. They're actively trying to sell wine. Indirect substance marketing. Weedia share is back. Giveaways, so they're doing giveaways for it. Streamer promotes personal social media in exchange for substance use. What? Merch shop. So they're using substance use while promoting their their merch shop. Is that it? And then explicit paid sponsorship of a product by a company. So they're actively being sponsored by 4Loko. Is 4Loko still a thing? I feel like 4Loko became illegal. Anyway, look it up in the anthropological sense. Do not tap the glass. Yeah, if you look it up, anthropological sense, I think is a good way to put it. Anyway, finally, we emulated 2 types of user account types for assessment. Emulated? Do they mean like they created these categories? Or they literally created... They made fake Twitch accounts. Have alcohol cannabis companies ever sponsored streamers? Come to think of it, I've never heard of that happening. I'm pretty sure alcohol companies I mean, this 4Loko one, this is a paid sponsorship for a streamer from 4Loko, which was an alcoholic energy drink, if I remember correctly. So that's, like, that is literally evidence of of an alcohol company sponsoring a streamer. If this is accurate, right? Oh, I've seen a lot of sponsorships for like, a while there were all those like startups of like, we graduated from Stanford and we created this service that will match you with wine. It will specific like I saw a lot of sponsorships for things like that where it was specifically sponsorships for services that would like send you wine or something like that. So I've definitely seen that. So that would be an alcohol sponsorship. I haven't seen them in a long time, Xenotime. It's been ages since I saw one of these ads, but they were everywhere for a while there. I haven't seen it with cannabis, but I think part of that is because streamers and YouTubers and stuff like that have a much wider reach, and at least in the US, cannabis is only legal in certain states. I'm assuming the image is real. So it's like BuzzFeed, but for people who think about their ho 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 high culture. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I got lost. Right. Okay, so they created an account. One where they were pretending to be a 14-year-old Twitch user, and they accessed the program account and logged in. And so this was their way of testing if age restrictions applied. So they were making sure, or they were testing whether they could access this content with an account that was ostensibly underage. I bet the Stanford people say which wine for you. Oh yeah. I think from what I remember from the promotions, it was like you would complete this long quiz or something. Like their innovation was that you'd go on their website and you'd do a long quiz and they would send you a wine that they thought that you would like based on your answers to it or something. Yeah, I have nothing in common with it. And I imagine Xenotime, based on what I know about your demographics, you were probably too young to be targeted by these ads at the time when they were everywhere. Like, I was above drinking age when these ads were everywhere, and a lot of like Google AdSense had pinged me as above drinking age. It had figured that out, but like you probably, if it had you pinged as a child, you probably wouldn't have seen them because it was years ago. Yeah. Anyway, specifically these two methods were used to simulate if underage users or non-logged in users, so they access these accounts either with an account that allegedly belonged to an underage child that didn't actually exist, or when they weren't logged in, and then they wanted to see if they could access the VODs of these streams where the substance use is occurring. I didn't realize, but you have 451 subscribers, Fahrenheit 451. I have nothing to do with that. I do not control the subscriber number. I do not control the subscriber number, but that is a funny thought. We recorded if warnings or disclaimers would pop up on streams to deter or prevent an underage account or non-logged in user from accessing content. Only 49 left. That's right, but I have been at 451 for like 2 weeks now, so we're not getting those 49 anytime soon unless something big happens. Sorry, Astral. Like that 451 has been pretty steadily there for a while now. Burning economics textbooks not written by a Nonicon sensei. Oh, we're at the results section, everybody. Okay. A total of 1,025 highly active streamers. I still wonder how they define highly active. Was it like a percentile thing? Was it like hours streamed? Was it numbers of streams? Was it like days streamed? I'm still curious about that. Listed in the Twitch Pokemon TCG category were collected and analyzed. Common general observations of new content generated by these streamers include discussing new card drops, so new product releases. Xenotime in this house, we use Celsius and Kelvin. Warpy, I'm sorry. Warpy, I'm sorry. I'm an American. I use Fahrenheit. What's worse, I'm an American psychologist. I'm an American and I'm a psychologist. And because I moved around a lot, I missed the grade. Or well, because like different school districts taught things at different times, I missed the class where we learned to convert between Fahrenheit and Celsius. I'm sorry, Warpy. I have failed you. I failed you. Cryokami hydrate every time they use vague definitions. Unfortunately, I'm all out of water. I'm all out of water. I've been out of water for probably like 2 hours now. I'm sorry. Manual and okay, so new cards being released. New live rips, so they're opening the packs. Get water? Oh my gosh, I looked over, my cat is just being adorable. Should I get some water, Mr. Kitty? Well, he's asleep. I don't want to disturb him. Maybe I should get some water. I'm kind of thirsty. Mylene, we need to see you do the substance use, but substance is water. Okay. 55%. Only 55%? That kind of surprises me. Alright, I'll get some water. I'll go get some water. I'm gonna go drink water. Give me a excuse. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Sorry, Mr. Kitty. I love you. No, no. Keep napping. Keep resting. You don't need to get up. I'm just getting some water. That's all. I'm getting some water. That's all. Go back to sleep. It's okay, buddy. You're a very good kid. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. I know it's very unfair, but it's not time yet. Come on, come back to sleep. Come back to sleep, Mr. Kitty. I'm back! Hydrate or dehydrate. I have water. I accidentally woke up Mr. Kitty. I'm going to go drink his 2 boxed into glass. Got you. I'm getting better. Oh, hey, buddy. Meow. What is it? Do you want to hear more about their results? Come here, Mr. Kitty. Let's read about Is Mr. Kitty well hydrated? Probably not. Mr. Kitty, go get some water. Go get some water, sir. The vet says you need to hydrate more. Go get some water. Go drink some water. This Mr. Man, he's not drinking his water. He's not staying hydrated. Mr. Kitty, go get hydrated. Okay. Manual annotation and content coding per the WHO protocol was then conducted on these highly active, where the specifically 25% where they were consuming. So, neglecting your children is whatever, but please don't neglect Mr. Kitty. I can lead a cat to water, but I cannot make the cat drink, okay? He has his water fountain in the corner. It is full. I've made sure his water fountain is full. And he also has a glass of water. I bought him a glass because he likes drinking out of my glasses. I bought him his own glass of water, and it's right on the other side. But no, right now what Mr. Kitty feels like he needs to do is sit directly behind me and stare at the back of my head. Isn't that right, Mr. Kitty? That's what you do. And also destroy my couch. He has his priorities in order. I don't think it's the right order, but I don't get to tell him. Well, I can tell him that. Do cats get cottonmouth from catnip? I don't even know what cottonmouth is. Mr. Kitty only gets to have catnip about once or twice a year. Is the water fresh? I hear cats care a lot about that. The water fountain is fresh. The water cup needs to be refreshed, but the water fountain is fresh, for sure. I wish he would drink from it. I mean, he likes it. He's just not, I guess he's not thirsty right now. We'll get you a fresh cup of water later, okay? But for now, your fountain has fresh water, and I know you prefer the fountain to the cup anyway. So please get some water, Mr. Kibble. Oh, Mr. Kibble, I worry about that boy. That guy. He's not been letting me sleep lately. He keeps screaming at me. Alright, let's keep going. I have to work tomorrow. When smoking, your mouth gets all dry and feeling, which is called I see. You can give my cat the cleanest, coolest water and she'll drink out of dirty puddles. Aw, the kitties. They are mysterious creatures that we will never fully comprehend. But that is part of their charm, isn't there, my Mr. Man? Oh, good boy. Oh, good boy. You're so cute. I love you. Good man. I love you. Okay. Let's get back to reading. I work tomorrow. So they coded these ones where they're using the substances, or polys multiple in their Twitch related profile descriptions, text, or archived live stream. So it's on their profile. I wonder what associated text means. Or like, is that other parts of it? And then archived live streams. The specific types of substances discussed, depicted, used, or being advertised includes mostly alcohol, some cannabis, very little tobacco, and then 17 who are using multiple substances at once. General table of substance use for direct relationship with Twitch stream. All substance use, behavioral. Okay, so this is like the types of use they were seeing. Not a lot of content creative where the use was the content. There was a lot of casual use. Some of it was done for entertainment, like the drunk streams. I'm still not entirely... Could associated text be tags? Possible. I'm still trying to figure out their distinction between content creative and entertainment. I'm still not entirely sure what the differentiating thing between that is. Because, like, the examples they used implied content creative. The example they used for content creative was a collab, so maybe it's specifically, like, content creative is a collab, whereas entertainment is their solo, but part of the appeal is that they're intoxicated. Event-driven is like it's their birthday or a celebration. Intoxication is they're specifically aiming to get intoxicated. And then casual use is they're just using it for the sake of it. Only one person was doing it for bits. Very little people are doing content use for monetary gain overall. Only one was doing it for bits, only one was doing it for followers. 7 were doing this for subs, and 3 were doing it for donations. But that's pretty small. And then for product promotion, see, they kept saying promotion, but look at this. They only had 6 people out of the 200 some that fit their criteria. So out of the how many? Was it 257 Twitch streamers, which was already only 25% of the total Twitch streamers that they looked at. 25% of the Twitch streamers that they looked at were using any substances, and the ones who were actively promoting products with the substance, there were only 6 of them. So there was product promotion specifically happening, but it was very rare. It was only about 2% of the 25%, if I'm reading this correctly. So it seems like when they say promotion, generally, they're probably largely, or we should at least interpret it as normalization, because it seems like the vast majority of it was just people using it, but not necessarily using it for money or to promote products. It was just them happening to use it on stream themselves, not necessarily encouraging anyone else to use it. So it seems like we should largely interpret when they say promotion as normalization. That seems to be the case. There was some actual promotioning happening here, but it was a really small fraction of their sample. From the 257 streamers, which include content related to substance use, we inductively decoded 312 reasons stated by users. Wow, that's a lot of times where they're like justifying where they're doing this. Multiple reasons could occur within the same live stream or description for including this content or engaging in substance use behavior that could be mapped to 3 general themes. One was behavioral, personal use with no evident intention to monitor. Oh, so this is just the behavioral, monetary gain, and then product promotion. With, of course, behavioral being the biggest category by far. Most people were just doing it to do it, not because they were trying to get money and not because they're selling it. They were just doing it for the sake of doing it on stream for one reason or another. We identified and coded 495 specific sub-themes of self-reported reasons that offer deeper insight into why streamers may include substance. These were grouped into 13 sub-themes derived from 3 general themes. So, okay. So, and the 3 general themes would be behavioral, monetary, and product promotion. And here are the these are the sub-themes. So entertainment, event, okay. Oh, here's another table with images. We like to see it. So here are examples of the things that they, holy sh, why is this being done as Pokemon TCG? This has nothing to do with Pokemon TCG. I don't even know what's happening here, and I don't think I want to know. There's the product promotion from Four Loko. That's the one I alluded to earlier, too. Oh, gosh. This person's just casually smoking while unboxing stuff. Just casual use. Event-driven, so what's this? What is happening here? Oh, they're just hitting a bong or something. Is that a Danganronpa Kigurumi? Okay. And then this is specifically for subs. Okay. Oh my god, this is the most chaotic stream setup I've ever seen. The smoke smell cannot be good for the value of the cards. Probably not. Probably not. Profile information was reviewed for presence of references in only 13 profiles out of the 257 of people using substance use mentioned it on the profile. 420, 710, meaning they support Cannabis Day and Oil Day, generally referring to cannabis concentrates, or that the stream and self-reports were using substance during the stream, or direct promotion of cannabis product. For de-identified screenshots, see figure 1 and 2 in the supplement. And you can look at the supplement yourself if you want to, but I've described it earlier, so. It's not like a super big supplement. It's just got 2 bigger figures and a list of their keywords. It's kind of lacking. I don't know. I like supplements that are unreasonably information dense. I like my supplemental material to be like at least, like in terms of overall word count, at least as long as the paper itself. If the supplement doesn't contain a stupid amount of information, what's even the point? Age restriction. A total of 187 that included, so the majority of people that were using substances had no age restriction on their stream. No warning, no disclaimer that there would be substance use. Or no, wait. So this is 72.76% had no age restrictions and no warning. So the majority of people, over 70% of the people who were using substances on stream did not age gate their content, nor did they provide any warning that they would be using these substances on stream. That's not great. That's not great. Specific breakdown of Twitch substance use content that had no warnings, and we should take this breakdown with a grain of salt because very few people were using tobacco and cannabis in the first place. The vast majority of the substance use was the alcohol. And access to streams, so let's see. It looks like, I think there were only 2 people using tobacco in the first place, so both of the people using tobacco had no warning and no age gating. It looks like, I think cannabis was 6 people, so about half of the people using cannabis had some form of age gating and or warning, and alcohol, I'd say a little over half didn't have it. I'm not good at math. Access to streams that warned users in the video content would contain depictions of substance use were only about 15%. Only about 15% had a warning for substance use, which also compares about 9% of streams where users were simply required to click a disclaimer agreeing that they would be exposed to content that would contain substance use. Wait, are these 2 separate categories? Are these mutually exclusive, or are these this, like, is one a subcategory of the other? Because they say compares to, which implies they're mutually exclusive categories, but anyway. In total, only 7 streamers blocked underage accounts or users without a logged-in account from accessing their stream. So only 2.72%, only 7 out of the 250-some users actually age-gated their content if they were smoking, drinking, or otherwise using substances on stream. Lastly, one streamer's account was banned during data analysis process for reasons unknown to the researcher. It'd be like that sometimes. Let me tell you, I have worked with social media data before, and like content coding of social media data, and my problem was like too much time had passed between what I was doing, and I was also like looking at a very like inflammatory issue, and so like I think a good 20 to 30% minimum of the accounts that I was looking at got banned between the time I collected their data and when I was doing the content coding. Luckily, I had saved the actual content that I cared about, but if I wanted to like get contextual information on like the stuff that they were saying in the posts, I could not because their accounts were banned or deleted. It was a lot of but I think that was largely because of the particular thing that I was studying, but it was rough. I'm actually kind of surprised they only lost 1 for reasons unknown to researchers. It's so hilarious. I mean, a lot of the time, like, I don't know too much, but like from what I've seen, a lot of the time, like the reason you get banned on Twitch can be kind of ambiguous, especially for the viewers. Like for the streamer, sometimes you may not know. For the viewers, you probably have zero way of finding out unless it was like a big scandal. All right, so here's their table. Here's what they were using. Here, the one who got banned was using alcohol. Twitch is really bad about I've heard that. I don't know if that's actually the case, because a lot of the times I'm like, people saying, why did I get banned? And then you look and like they were very obviously violating the terms of service. And I'm like, you know why you got banned. You know why you got banned. But like some other times it's like really unclear. So it's hard to say. It's about time for me to sleep. Oh, sleep well, Frost. Sleep well. Have a good night. So most of them let you in. Some offered a warning. Some had a disclaimer. Some were subscribers only, so they just wouldn't let you in no matter what, if you weren't subscribed. The study examined more than 1,000 active and influential Pokemon TCG streamers. What do they mean by influential? Like, they say they collected data on the number of viewers and subscribers too, but actually, now that I think about it, they've never mentioned that anywhere. It looks like they're going to mention it in the discussion, but you shouldn't save data for the discussion. You should mention that in the results. One of the issues is inconsistent application of rules. Yeah, Domarthax, I think that's what I've understood. Like, a lot of it... Yeah, Astral, like, I think a lot of the bans that I've heard talked about are, like, VTubers getting banned for outfit things. And I think the problem with that is, like, a lot of them are breaking the rules, but there are so many VTubers breaking the rules that Twitch can't possibly moderate all of them. So it almost feels random which ones get punished, and then the ones that get punished get angry because they're saying, hey, here's like 20 other people doing the same thing I am who haven't been published. And it's more of a volume problem than it is like the inconsistency. I think the inconsistency in enforcement, I think, like, some of it is probably favoritism and things like that, but I think another big part of it is surely the sheer volume of content on Twitch. And it's not possible to be perfectly consistent with that many content creators, if that makes sense. And so they get mad that they're banned when other people aren't banned for doing the same thing, but it's like, well, I'm sure they would love to ban everybody, but they can't because there's too many. The outfit rules started because of wardrobe malfunctions with IRL. Jeez. How do they define active? They never defined active, Hair Day, but they did say they specifically picked, like, the people who were streaming the most. I'm not sure if that meant streaming the most hours or the most separate streams, but they picked the most active. I'm not sure where they drew the line either, though. They don't state that either, which there's a lot of information in here that I would love to have that's missing, and some of that may very well be down to the word count of the article. A lot of journals, especially ones that still have print copies, will give you a specific word count and you cannot go over it, and oftentimes you have to cut out a lot of information. And that's part of the reason why supplemental materials exist, so that you could still convey information about, like, how much data you collected, or like, here's some additional statistics that we thought were important but we couldn't fit in the main paper and things like that, which is part of why I was joking earlier, but I am kind of frustrated that their supplement is so short, because it's clear that they did a lot more work and did a lot more analyses and had a lot more, like, considerations and methodological things going on here than they're mentioning in the paper. And normally you would put that in the supplement, so if people want that information, they can go find it, but their supplement is very, very short and does not contain... It does contain some information, like that list of words was definitely something I would have wanted to see, and it is in the supplement, so I can't see it. But there's a lot of other information that I wish was in here that maybe was cut out of the paper because of word count, but could have been put in the supplement and was not, which is disappointing. For example, how they defined active. So about 25% were using some sort of substances. The most frequently mentioned substance discussed or promoted was alcohol, followed by much smaller, not even just a much smaller amount of mentions of cannabis and tobacco. The vast majority was alcohol. The most observed general theme was just behavioral-related content. So for the vast majority were people using alcohol, and the vast majority of substance use in general is just people using it, not necessarily actively promoting it, just using it on stream. So I guess that's why I say this is more normalization than promotion. Well, a much smaller volume was identified, includes substance use to content to solicit monetary contributions and direct product promotion. So that was happening, but it was a very, very small portion of it. In total, there were 495 mentions of streamer-specific reasons for this, which, based on data available from aggregations, reasons used content made during these collective broadcasts. So across these thousand some broadcasts or thousands of streamers, in their sample, if they add together all the followers in their sample had almost 7 million collective followers on Twitch with a collective stream time of 1,181,614 hours. So that's kind of addressing how much these people were streaming and how big their audiences were, but the fact that it's like aggregate instead of like means and standard deviations kind of rubs me the wrong way. But again, like that could just be a disciplinary norm that's different from what I'm used to, you know? Like this would not fly in psychology, but maybe this is normal in their area. Additionally, close to three-quarters of streamers' accounts did not prohibit underage access to create content or live stream. That much time over how much time? It was a year. This was a little over 1,000 streamers over the course of a year streamed a collective 1,181,614 hours. So that's, if we divide, like, if we just go roughly by 1,000, that means on average, it was a little more than 1,000. So this is really rough math, but that means the average streamer was streaming about 11,000 hours in that year. Does that sound right? How many hours are there in a year? So there's 8,760 hours in a year. So that can't be right. That doesn't track. How many... Wait, and is this only for the subsection that they were looking at, or was this from the Twitch influencers that have a collective... So is this the full 1,000 sample, or is this only the 257 that they did their actual analysis on? Because even for the 1,000 sample, that many hours seems... Or wait, no, I divided that wrong. I was dividing by 100, not 1,000 in my head. That makes a bit more sense. So they streamed 1,000 on average. These streamers, assuming that this is the full sample with over 1,000, streamed a collective 1,000, streamed an average of about 1,181 hours a year, which that's a lot. So these were pretty heavy streamers based on that average, but I would love to see the standard deviation for these. And also, I'm kind of like, why are they giving me these collective numbers for the entire sample when the vast majority of their data was only discussing 25% of the sample? You know, like, I don't know. I mean, it depends on the idea that they're trying to get across. I understand using the whole sample here if they're specifically talking about just like, these are things that people are watching. Even for 1,000 people, there aren't enough hours in a year to stream that much. I think there are, right? There's 24 hours a day, 365 days in a year. That is 8,760 hours. And then if I divide it by 1,000, because there's about 1,000 people, that's only 1,181 hours. So 1181 divided by 8,760. That's about, they're spending about 13% of their, yeah, that's more than enough hours. On average, the streamers in their sample were spending 13% of their time in that year streaming. Presumably with the other, is that like, what, 87% doing things like sleeping and eating and whatever else. So yeah, that's enough. I was just dividing it wrong the first time I did a hair day. The first time I accidentally divided it by 100 instead of 1,000 because I'm bad at math, as we've established. All right. Additionally, close to 3/4 of the streamers' accounts did not prohibit underage... Okay, so this is what frustrates me. This is talking about their full sample of 1,000, but this one is talking about their partial sample, and at no point is there any indication... Like, this talks about their partial sample. That's only 25% of the full. This appears to be going back to the full sample, and then they switch immediately back to their partial 25% sample. I don't like how they're swapping between these things so quickly. No, I had an extra digit in there too, Hair Day, when I was doing it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so I think it's, like, I'm not saying that this is bad science. I think it's more like bad writing, that they're swapping between the full sample and the partial sample and the full sample and the partial sample back and forth without ever indicating which sample they're talking about. That just is a recipe for confusion. But writing a paper is hard. And with so many drafts, it's very easy to lose. That's why it's always good to, like, have somebody else read the final draft of your paper to make sure that it makes sense, because you've been looking at it so long, it's lost all meaning to you and you're not catching things anymore. I did it right the first time but saw disagreement, so was uncertain on my answer. Oops. Sorry. If anything that I say that's math, like if any sort of math calculation that I say sounds wrong, it probably is because I made a mistake. Like, that's just how it is. It's the nature. Oh, where am I? Where am I? Additionally, okay, yeah, they're switching back and forth. This raises concerns about content classification and effectiveness of community guidelines on Twitch. No, Astral, I don't remember, and I don't intend to. I have made no effort to remember that or learn it. Zero effort has been made on my part, and I have no intention of making any more effort than I've already made, which is none. Sorry. Specifically, Twitch's content classification policy encourages, but does not require users to report the use of substance use, and only moderates streams based on if their mature rated category select. Wait, so they say effectiveness of community guidelines, and they were treating it as if these people were violating community guidelines by not age gating or at least warning for this content, but community guidelines don't require them to do that. So it's not violating community. Well, I guess guidelines are suggestions. So maybe you could say it's violating. I was thinking of this in terms of community, like rules, like terms of use and stuff. And I guess I was thinking about it the wrong way. These are guidelines, not TOS. Furthermore, community guidelines on substance use while streaming outline that certain substance use is permitted on stream so long as the streamer is of age to consume. However, cannabis use remains in a quasi-legal gray area. Yeah, I thought they were calling out TOS violations. I'm glad it wasn't just me seeing a time, but unfortunately, in this case, I think that's just a clear lack of reading comprehension on our part, because I think they've been saying guidelines this whole time. So that's on me. That's not on them. That's on my own lack of reading comprehension. But I'm glad I'm not the only one, at least. Depending on the streamer's location, those streamers nevertheless are required to self-label their broadcast under a specific drug use label, though only 6 of the streamers that we reviewed do so. But wasn't only 6 labeled as using... Are they saying only 6 labeled as using it? Because only 6 were using cannabis in the first place, I thought. So every single person who was using cannabis did label that they were using cannabis, if I'm remembering this correctly. So what's the problem? I mean, it's not great that they're using cannabis in a place where children can see. That's not a great thing. But, like, if their complaint is that cannabis content isn't appropriately labeled, but every single person they noticed who was using cannabis, yeah, 6 people used cannabis, and if I'm reading this sentence correctly, all 6 of them labeled their content as containing cannabis. Required to self-label their broadcast under specific drug use label, though only 6 that we reviewed did so, but you only reviewed 6 streamers who were doing it, so 100% of the streamers that were using cannabis in your sample followed the label. So why are you phrasing it as if that's only a small number, unless this is just confusing writing again where it says everybody was... I wonder if NEP would be part of this. I don't know. I don't know. In fact, until this stream, I didn't, in fact, I guess I'm not, this hasn't been explicitly said, so I'm not sure, but until the stream, I hadn't actually suspected that NEP was using cannabis on stream. As you read that, I got the NEP line. NEP has been summoned. NEP has been summoned. But NEP, actually now I want to know if I can... this makes me wonder, yep, she's a smonker. Okay. This makes me wonder if, like, if I go on, like, can I... Is NEP one of the people that, Is Nep one of the people that they're complaining about? I can access Nep's 18 plus stream when I'm not logged in. I can access Nep's 18 plus stream when I'm not logged in. She's one of the people that they are warning us about in this paper. At least in the title, she does say 18 plus. She very clearly says 18 plus in the title of her stream. So there's that at least. She does have sound alerts related to cannabis, though, on her main page. Oh, they would get her. They would get her. I'm sorry. Anyway, these lax community guidelines point to an overall lack of platform accountability. So they're blaming Twitch for it. They're not saying it's the streamers, they're saying Twitch isn't doing enough. And active content moderation of stream. But can they do content moderation when it's only a guideline violation, not a TOS violation? Is that a target for moderation? Of streamers who may openly violate Twitch substance use guidelines. Violating guidelines, but guidelines are they're talking about the guidelines as if they're TOS. That's what's confusing me. Unless I'm misunderstanding what Twitch means when it says guidelines, because usually guidelines are just a suggestion. Like, it's a strong suggestion, not like just like a hint, but they're like a strong suggestion, but they're not an actual rule. But they're talking about it like it's an actual enforceable rule. Huh. Regarding not only viewer exposure towards substance use promoted content, but also streamers encouraging substance use for monetary reasons. But that was a really small portion of your sample. I feel like they're taking a small portion of their sample and acting like it's a much bigger thing than it was. Like, it was a small portion of your sample. Like, I'm not saying it's not happening. They definitely show evidence that this is a thing that is happening. It's Twitch, even the rules are guidelines. Like I said, I think that's more of a problem of the scale of enforcement than it is about actual favoritism on average. Like, again, I'm not very familiar with this, so I could be wrong, but I imagine scale of enforcement is the bigger issue than a lack of interest in enforcement. But I could be wrong. This, despite Twitch community guidelines, prohibit monetary gain. So these people, no, but these are the guidelines. They're not TOS. You're conflating guidelines and TOS. Unless I'm not I'm not super familiar with Twitch, but like, it feels like they're they're treating guidelines the same as rules. And my understanding of the word guidelines is that a guideline is not a rule. But they're treating it as if it is. I'm just confused. This might be just ignorance on my part that's me to be confused, though. This could be like they seem like they are like the first two authors on the paper do seem like they know a lot more about Twitch than I do. So this could very well be ignorance on my part that I'm confused. Which does probably mean that they could have done a better job writing it, but Twitch guidelines have a breastfeeding exception for nipples. That doesn't surprise me at all. Oh my gosh, you're reminding me of the Tumblr feminine female presenting nipples. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. Oh man. I was thinking about all this today after seeing like the 10th shirtless guy run past me while I was out and about. Like, incredible. Incredible. The double standard exists. Anyway. But I think their main concern here is that it's specifically around topics that they think will attract children. Yeah, they're very particular wording. Female presenting individuals' breasts with exposed nipples unless actively breastfeeding. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks. Yeah. Prior studies on Twitch have identified similar concerns, including a significant increase. The hell kind of exception is that? I mean, it's a pretty normal exception, I think. Like, most places have an exception, like, And I think that's kind of like just a societal thing to an extent. Like, the idea is that feminine, like, people who appear masculine are allowed to show off their chest as much as they want, and it doesn't matter. People that appear feminine are not allowed to do that. But there has been a big push to allow some limited of that for the sake of feeding, of breastfeeding a child. Because breastfeeding a child, you know, children need to be fed to survive. There are other methods of feeding a child, certainly, but I think there's been a lot of pushback that, like, why are you preventing me from feeding my child? Like, this is not... Yeah, it's like, I think the general argument for saying that feminine presenting people cannot show their chest is that it's a sexualized thing. And then there's the whole... There's that time Finster existed to mess with the male presenting exceptions. That was, of course, before they came out as trans. Oh, gosh. It gets really messy really fast, honestly. The whole thing is just... I'm less shocked if this happened, they would fall down on the issue like this, but I'm surprised that this is a situation they have to account for. I'm not, honestly. I'm not. I spent many, many years on Tumblr, and therefore I am well aware that this is an issue that... Or, well, this is something that people would have to account for. Mm-hmm. And also just in real life, in terms of, like, breastfeeding and stuff, like, you know, sometimes... It doesn't happen very often, but, you know, every once in a while, I'll just, like, see a woman just breastfeeding their child, or, well, standing in line or whatever, you know, like, it happens. It is a thing that occurs in life. So they're probably gonna have to make a rule for it. Like, if they want to have a rule, setting rules is hard, because there's asterisks on almost everything. Like, this behavior is completely inappropriate in most situations, but in this specific situation it is appropriate. But if we don't carve out that exception, then people could be punished for doing something that is okay. Or if we don't carve out this exception, people could be allowed to do something that isn't okay. And that's where you get legalese and stuff. Another Twitch study found that product placement cues, often for unhealthy items, were present for up to 20 minutes per hour of content, and notably lack clear advertising disclosures. Jeez. Setting rules is hard when you want exceptions. That's true, and the problem is most rules, I think, do require exceptions. So setting rules just generally is hard, unless you don't want any nuance, but the problem is the world is nuanced, you know? Ours is the first study to identify co-occurring content that includes both promotion of Pokémon TCG and substance use behavior. Yeah, because that's such a specific thing. Most people wouldn't study it because it's not that generalizable. Like, there is such a thing as too specific. But again, like, I kind of thrive in really specific research questions, so I'm not, I don't think that's a problem. I don't think it's bad that they did that, but I do feel kind of like it's disingenuous to frame it as, look at this cool and innovative and brand new groundbreaking thing that we did, when it's like, well, yeah, most people wouldn't do that because it only gives you a very narrow piece of information that's difficult to apply in any other situation. Like, it's not necessarily hadn't been done before because you're the first people to think of it. It's more that you haven't seen it done before because most people would want to do stuff that applies more broadly. So, like, I don't necessarily agree with the framing of this, but on the other hand, I do know that the two first authors probably started this paper when they were undergrads. They're probably not necessarily aware of that. So they might not have, like, this is a pet peeve for me as somebody who's been through grad school, but at the level that they were probably at while they were doing most of the work on this paper, that was probably not a consideration, so that's fine. It's just a pet peeve. It's literally not even an issue. All right, limitations. Limitations of the study include lack of... Oh, see, yeah, they're acknowledging it. Lack of generalizability. Yeah, so they acknowledge that this is very specific. It's not even all Pokemon content. It's specifically Pokemon TCG content. From community guidelines, it seems they do treat it as rules, but we might not enforce them all the time. That tracks. And substance use behavior. Oh, I gotta read fast. It's almost time to feed the child, to feed the cat. Well, I guess I can step away to feed the cat, if it comes to it. Strengths of the study include its use of data aggregation sites to identify influential. I still wonder what they mean by influential. Twitch streamers and access their archived content for content analysis purposes. Future studies should monitor. Why is this under limitations when it's also including strengths and future directions? I don't know. It's just a weird grouping, but it's fine. It's not actually hurting the validity of their study. It's just weird organization for the paper. Future studies should monitor all Twitch broadcasting categories for substance use related. I agree, though. I think like they should broaden this out. They've demonstrated that this is potentially a problem in a small subcategory, and now that they've demonstrated that this is a problem at all, they can broaden their view to see how big of an issue it is. I think that's a fair future direction. Globally, Pokemon's super popular, and a bunch of kids are into it. Hi, Mr. Kitty! Hi! I'll be right with you, okay? I'm gonna end stream real fast. We're almost done reading the paper, and then... I know, I love you, Mr. Kitty. You're my favorite cat. You're my favorite cat in the whole world. I haven't forgotten about you. I love you. Okay. Twitch is a very popular live stream. Risk of children and adolescent exposure. Exposure, I think, is the word they should have been using for most of this, rather than promotion. To drinking games and toxic... But it's not my paper, so... Inebriation, smoking, and explicit product promotion while searching for and viewing Twitch Pokemon content is a digital public health challenge that needs further study and addressed. There we go. That's a fussy cat. He just knows what he wants. 20.4 words per minute. Nice. All right, so general thoughts on the paper. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think my general thoughts on the paper is that this is an interesting paper. I think it's really cool that these two students were able to do this. I think it's a really neat paper. I think the writing often made it difficult for me to figure out what was going on. I wish that they had given us more information, but part of that could very well be, you know, the word count limitations for the paper. I think that the framing of the paper could have probably used some work, but, you know, no paper's going to be perfect. And I do agree, though, that it is probably an issue that there are a lot of people streaming in a category where children are likely to be watching and using substances that that children definitely are not legally allowed to use, and also may just straight up not be legally allowed to use at any age, depending on their location. 20.27 word per minute final. The last one was for like 10 minutes ago. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I want to hear what you all thought about the paper, but I'm gonna go feed my cat real fast before he starts eating me. Yeah, I'll come back in a minute. Tell me your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts as well. All right, let's get you dinner. Yeah. Dinner. Let's go. Good boy. Here you go. Yeah. Tonight's favorite is tuna. You're so bright. Good boy. Yeah. So bright. Look at you. You're so bright. You're the most polite kitty in the whole wide world. Here you go. I have returned. Interesting subject. Research should be extended to other areas. Super agree, Heriday. Super agree. I think that's a good reading of it. It is really interesting, and I had a lot of fun reading this one. I know that it's not generalizable, but I am a huge fan of just like these weird little niche things. I like it a lot. I have a lot of fun with it. This seems like the kind of guilty pleasure type of study that I would do. Like, I know it's probably not a lot of substance or adding to the greater literature as a whole on its own, but it's fun. I wonder if you'd get different results for other categories, like a game more conducive to drunk challenges or green. That's a great question. That's a great area for future research. Yeah, I wonder so too. It was interesting, a little distracted coloring Taiki and going down that rabbit hole. You said not to go down though, so I might have missed. You know what, Astral? I am definitely gonna play some more Uma Musume right after I shut down the stream, so I cannot even hold that against you. I cannot judge. Cannot judge whatsoever. Also, I usually am doing like 5 other things when I'm on a stream anyway, so it's like whatever. Like I don't blame you. Ah, well, that was a good paper. That was a fun paper. That was a fun paper. I think that was very interesting. I really, really liked their tables too. I'm a huge sucker for coding, and my favorite part of coding is like seeing real examples of like people doing stuff. So I really loved that they shared these with us. Like they a lot of coding studies will share examples, but that's like my favorite part of like using like real archival data and doing content coding is looking at like how these things manifest in the real world. And I'm so happy they showed that to us because it's just my favorite thing. I wish more papers gave most content coding papers admittedly do this, but it just sparks joy. It just sparks joy. It makes me very happy. Yeah. Still rubs me the wrong way that they started off immediately with an easily disprovable statement, but I suppose that wasn't relevant to the rest. Yeah, like that is kind of frustrating, especially because it seems so self-evident to us. But given that this paper was published, well, then again, you're younger, Astral, so maybe I shouldn't be saying it this way. Like the way I was thinking of it is like Pokemon came out when I was in elementary school. Pokemon came out when I was in elementary school, and I have been a Pokemon fan since like shortly after it came out, to varying levels of intensity over my lifespan. So like I was able to catch that really quick, but I'm guessing that the first authors of this actually are probably around your age, Astral. Maybe a little older, maybe I'm not actually sure exactly how old you are, Astral, but the first authors here are maybe roughly around your age, probably. Like they probably only very recently graduated from undergrad, and therefore I'm kind of guessing that because they pretty much certainly were not born when Pokemon first came out, so that information probably isn't as self-evident. This paper was published like 2 weeks ago. Anyone reading it should know what it's about. Yeah. Yeah, this was published like 2 weeks. It was a week and a half ago. This is a very hot off the presses paper. I've been making thumbnails, so I haven't been paying too close attention, but I'd be very curious to see how this depends on the game itself. Yeah, Xenotime. Arch was also saying that, or Telos was also saying that earlier, sort of like a general thing, like, does the game matter? It's weird to me because the Pokemon manga is very much more obscure than the games. If they said the anime came first mistake, I would be less confused. Yeah, that is a bit odd. I think it could be that both of these that these people are weebs. They might be massive weebs, and so they're used to the progression of manga gets adapted into anime, and if it gets big enough, gets games. So they might have just been like, they might not have even bothered to fact check it. They might just have assumed that typical progression. Because if you watch a lot of anime and that's your main sort of introduction to like the otaku world, I feel like you tend to assume a certain order of operations, even though that's not necessarily so many hearts. What's happening? After reading this, I wonder how easy it is to publish a research paper. It's not that easy. It's really not easy. It's very difficult. That's why I was saying, like, at the start, like, I think it's okay that this is such a specific type of stream because it could be they're so passionate about that type of stream, that's what kept their energy up long enough to actually go through the whole process of publishing this. You know, like, you need something to motivate you because publishing is miserable. Why are there still hearts happening? What is happening? Why are there so many hearts? Who is doing this? Okay. Oh my god. I'm gonna start biting people. Anyway. Yeah, maybe. So anyway. Why is this happening? Why is... Can I ask Mylan, are you planning on doing another R stream someday? Oh, that's a really fun question. I haven't thought of doing an R stream in a while, but I would love to do another R stream. I really enjoy coding in R, so if I can come up with an excuse, I would absolutely do another R stream. Absolutely. I do have some data lying around on like VTuber subscriber stuff and height, and I already have code for that, but it's old, so I could recreate the code and do that again. The first one finished their bachelor's in 2019. Wow, so they've had their bachelor's for a while. I've been treating them like they're fresh. I assumed that they started this project during their bachelor's, but I guess I was completely wrong. But yeah, I'd love to do another R stream. If you're interested, if there's like a data set that I or like something that you'd like to see me analyze, or like if you have an idea, I would love to hear it, because I would love to do another R stream. Yeah. All right. I think for tonight, I'm gonna end the stream for tonight. Maybe I'll see you again with another paper or something like that next Monday. We'll see. If you have any suggestions, by the way, for papers that might be interesting, just send them over to me on Twitter or Blue Sky, and I'll take a look at them if they are open access. I'm unable to stock the second one, though. That's fair. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for coming to the stream. Thank you for joining me on this journey. But yeah, maybe I'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'll see you next week if everything goes according to plan. Yeah, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye, everyone. Bye.